This podcast is supported by The Real Real. Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The Real Real.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The Real Real? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 38 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The Real Real than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The Real Real. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And right now, you can get an extra $100 site credit when you sell for the first time. Go to therealreal.com to get your extra $100. Therealreal.com. That's therealreal.com.
The interesting thing about this song from Slade that we begin our show on for this Wednesday morning, the 17th of December.
This podcast is supported by The Real Real. Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The Real Real.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The Real Real? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 38 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The Real Real than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The Real Real. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And right now, you can get an extra $100 site credit when you sell for the first time. Go to therealreal.com to get your extra $100. Therealreal.com. That's therealreal.com.
The song was released on this day in 1973. In fact, this was the day it went number one on the UK singles chart. The song is called Merry Christmas, Everybody, and it was the sixth number one in the UK for Slade. Here's the interesting thing. In the 50-plus years since, the song has been re-released during every decade. So in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and yes, even the 2020s, covered by numerous artists. And in a 2007 poll, Merry Christmas, Everybody was voted the UK's most popular Christmas song. And so we begin our show for this Wednesday morning with a look back to this day in 1973 when Slade went to number one with Merry Christmas, Everybody. And it continues to resonate all of these years later. Hey, good morning. How are you today? I hope you're paying attention. You always are. I shouldn't even expect that you would be doing anything other than paying attention. But in just a moment, I will share with you what might be the most important 2 minutes of your local political life. However, I must start in the only place to begin on a day like this because, I mean, come on. You know what happened last night, right? Not only did the Toronto Maple Leafs honor their longtime play-by-play broadcaster, Joe Bowen, who after this year will call it a career after 44 years of calling Leafs games. They're renaming the broadcast booth in the Foster Hewitt Gondola at Scotiabank Arena, Bowen's booth. And then the Leafs go out and play the Chicago Blackhawks. And the Leafs are laying the biggest egg that they're getting booed by the fans in their home arena. They're trailing 2-0, but they score a goal in the third period to make it 2-1. And then the greatest hockey player in the world today, his name is Austin Matthews. His initials are AM. And so we give you a little AM on AM in the AM.
Blackhawks win the D-zone draw. They give it away. Matthews in front. Scores! Austin Matthews ties the game at 2.
Oh, baby, he sure did. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Farwell, that was not Joe Bowen. Correct, you are. That is Joe Bowen's son, David, who called the game while Dad, on the night he was honored, watched the game from a private box with the rest of his family. David Bowen with the call of Austin Matthews' game-tying goal, and 8 seconds after that, right off the face-off, following the game-tying goal, the Leafs scored the game-winning goal, and the Leafs win. The Maple Leafs win. Got to start the day with a little AM on AM in the AM after a night like that. Now, let me share with you the kind of night it was for our regional council. And I'm telling you, in my life, I've been doing this job. I know I probably say this too much, but it's been 30 years, okay? I've covered more municipal council meetings than I can possibly count. And never have I ever witnessed anything like this happen before. Let me set it up for you. It was final budget day at regional council. So what happens is there is a budget meeting. It's a meeting of the budget committee. All of the councillors are there, but it's the budget committee before the council meeting, okay? And they go in this budget meeting, they were going through those 32 different amendments. They're discussing them all. They're voting on them all, yada, 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 okay? So they do this during the day at the budget committee meeting. Then at night, they're basically rubber stamping things at council. Again, the group is made up of the same people. We've just gone from committee. Now we're making it official at council. Something very interesting happens at council. During the day at the committee meeting, the budget for the police services passed. When the council meeting came along later in the night, the vote for the police budget failed. It failed in a vote of 8-7 or 7-8, if you want to look at it that way. And then they move on to the next item on the council agenda. But wait, this is where the drama begins, because you can hear some whispering off to the side. And Regional Chair Karen Redmond says, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. So remember, they've just voted and the police budget does not pass. It fails. And then you hear this whispering. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. The 5-minute recess turns into a 10-minute recess. When we come back to the council meeting, interestingly, I will say, Councillor Sandy Shantz, the mayor of Woolwich Township, is suddenly present. She wasn't there before the recess. Now she's there. Councillor Shantz, the mayor of Woolwich Township, is a member of the Police Services Board. I'm just pointing this out as fact for you, okay? So she wasn't there before the recess. She shows up after the recess. And then Councillor Sue Foxton, the mayor of North Dumfries, changes her vote. And suddenly, the police services budget passes. So it fails. They take a recess. A member of the Police Services Board suddenly shows up in the meeting virtually, and then there's a change of vote, and the budget passes. Here's what happened.
Your Worship, I'd like to reconsider my vote and move it back to what I voted before, which is the positive for the police capital forecast.
Councillor Salonen.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I do get and appreciate that we have updated and corrected votes in the past. However, the wording that Councillor Foxton used wasn't that she voted in error. It was that she wanted to change her vote to how she voted at committee. My interpretation of that is that with intent, you voted in the negative at this point in time. So not that I want to be a disturber, but I am challenging that a little bit in terms of what was the intent behind. Did you mean to actually vote opposed, or was it an error that you
My original vote This morning, was that this morning?
I'm talking about
yes.
at council, not at committee.
Yes, so I was staying with my original vote.
Okay.
Councillor Bavanovic.
Listen, I think this is really calling into question the way the democratic process runs, and I'm just going to be noted on record that this is really making a mockery of democracy. I've been in elected office at the city or regional level in 31 years, and I have never seen something like this in my entire political career. It's making a mockery of democracy.
Councillor Liggett.
I just want to say how disturbed I am by what just happened. It looks like there was a maneuvering of votes in order to get what people wanted. It more than makes a mockery of what the entire day. It puts us all in a bad situation with the public. I'm actually disgusted by what happened. No matter what way I would have voted, I'm really disgusted by this, and I question the reason behind. No, I don't even question anymore. Thank you.
Disgusted by this, a mockery of democracy. So at the committee meeting, the budget committee meeting earlier in the day, Councillor Foxton votes to support the police budget. At the council meeting, to basically rubber stamp everything at night, she votes against it. It fails. They recess. They come back. She changes her vote. Unbelievable. This is our regional council. They're dealing with a budget that... I don't even know what to say except this. I'll say two things. What in HE double hockey sticks happened at regional council last night? And the other thing I will say is good thing it's Wednesday, because Wednesday mornings, 11:30, Rob Deutschman stops by for some political R&D. And you can bet your ding-dang bottom dollar that we're going to do a deeper dive into this. Unbelievable. And I would concur with Councillor Verbanovic, the Mayor of Kitchener. A mockery of democracy. All right, let's get to your Farwell Show 5 for this Wednesday morning, number 1. Regional Council did pass its 2026 budget last night with a 5.1% tax increase. That works out to $142 more per year for the average home in the region. Number 2, Conestoga College has issued layoff notices to 181 full-time employees. Today's Waterloo Region Record reports all terminations are effective March the 16th, affecting 178 full-time faculty, 2 librarians, and 1 counselor. In total, job losses at the college are currently estimated at over 2,300 since 2024, though that number is expected to rise once the support staff layoff is announced. And the college reports its updated numbers for partial load, part-time, and sessional employees in January. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, the Kitchener Rangers wrap up a 5-game road trip tonight in Sarnia, and they'll have a new face in the lineup. The Rangers swung a swap with Erie yesterday, acquiring 20-year-old forward Dylan Edwards for second-year forward Evan Hedrick and a draft pick. Pre-game coverage for tonight's Rangers-Sting game starts at 6:30 here on 570 News Radio. Number 4, influenza cases around Canada are spiking ahead of the holidays, pushing hospital emergency departments over capacity. The daily number of confirmed flu patients was up by 150% in Ontario alone last week, with an 84% increase in hospital admissions. And number 5, on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, provincial police and federal border officials are expected to provide details this morning about a lengthy investigation into an alleged auto theft operation. OPP and the Canada Border Services Agency are holding a news conference in Mississauga shortly after 10 this morning. They say the probe targeted a criminal organization facilitating the movement of stolen vehicles to overseas destinations. And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Wednesday morning.
It's the final countdown.
That's right. We've counted them all up. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about bike lanes and how or why they get plowed. It's really interesting in Guelph because, you see, in Guelph, they were plowing the bike lanes. Then they stopped, and now they're going to plow those bike lanes again.
You dip the chip You took a bite and you dipped again.
We're going to get to the bottom of this as we continue the Mike Farwell Show this morning. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
This is where today's topics turn into today's talking points. It's local and it's Democratic radio at its finest. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
I, using the strong mayor powers, am increasing the operating budget by $650,000 to reinstate the snow removal services.
The Mike Farwell Show continues
on 570 News Radio.
That is Guelph Mayor Cam Guthrie invoking the strong mayor powers yesterday. For what does the city of Guelph need that $650,000? I'm glad you asked that question, because the answer to that question is so that the city of Guelph can return to the business of plowing the city's bike lanes. You see, when you create these bike lanes, you also create the additional work required to keep the bike lanes clear of snow in the wintertime. Fair enough. I mean, I know, because we have talked about this before, that it's not our favorite thing. Oftentimes, we will talk about bike lanes and the fact that we rarely see anybody on a bicycle in said lane anyway, even in July. So why on earth would we need to go to the expense and, in many cases, get the specialized equipment required to clear the bike lane of snow? If they ain't using them in July, they sure as hell ain't using them in January. So in an effort to save money, the city of Guelph stopped plowing bike lanes. But then, in a last-minute, 11th hour, lunch hour epiphany, the mayor of Guelph yesterday decided to use his strong mayor powers, return $650,000 to the budget, and once again go about the business of plowing bike lanes. I was really looking forward in this moment to speaking with my good friend, Dan Gibson, a councillor in the city of Guelph. Dan and I have chatted on numerous occasions over the years. I will admit, it's been far too long since I've invited Dan on the show, but I did invite him on the show this morning, and he was supposed to be here 3 minutes ago. Not physically in the building, because otherwise I'd make a joke about him trying to bring his bike through an unplowed bike lane. But he was supposed to join us on the phone almost 4 minutes ago now. And I am yet to encounter Councillor Dan Gibson this morning. And I'm a little bit flummoxed because of that. I was really looking forward to the conversation. However, I know that you have thoughts on how we manage bike lane infrastructure in our community. So why don't I just open the phone lines to you at 519-570-2545. Star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. You see, we were plowing the bike lanes. Then we weren't, and now we're plowing the bike lanes again. I will give credit where it's due, and in this particular case, the credit goes to the cycling community in the city of Guelph, which came out in great number to demonstrate its disappointment with the decision by Guelph Council to not plow bike lanes. They rode their bikes in a great big crowd with signs on their back saying, "I'd rather be in a bike lane." And they were doing this, holding up traffic because they were not using bike lanes. You know how it works. And I joked when I saw this on the evening news last night. I joked to my beloved, I said, you know, all of those people on those bicycles right now do not even amount to the number of people you would see individually using the bike lanes at any other time of year anyway. And the other question this begs for me is, if you could suddenly find $650,000 in your budget to preserve the important work of plowing bike lanes, and it's not going to increase the overall tax levy on residents in the city of Guelph. If you could find this at the last minute, how many other things might be buried in that budget that you kind of missed out on or didn't fine-tune enough as you tried to bring down a tax increase that was more reasonable? How do you just find $650,000 to plow the bike lanes or not to plow the bike lanes? 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. George from Cambridge is with us on the show this morning. Good morning, George.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. How you doing?
Oh, I'm just great, thanks. I've got a mockery of democracy in Waterloo Region, and I've got $650,000 that the mayor of Guelph, Cam Guthrie, found in a couch cushion. Like, how could I possibly have any questions about what's going on democratically?
I hope, Mike, right now, Guelph Mayor Cam, what's his last name again?
Guthrie.
Is listening, because here's an easy solution. You don't spend $650,000 to do a bike lane that no one's going to use in wintertime. Here's what you do. In the spring, you do a $25 membership for everybody who uses those bike lanes. And then in the wintertime, you give back a 3-4 month bus pass so they can enjoy, being outside the harsh winter. They can be inside a warm bus.
George, I like where you're coming from. You're thinking creatively. You're thinking outside the box. It's the existential question, right? If you plow a bike lane that nobody uses, is there any point in plowing the bike lane at all? Gary, Farwell's Force member number 41, who happens to live in Guelph, is with us. Good morning. Right. Gary, you get on the horn with Dan Gibson? Like, I like that guy. I'm a little chafed right now. Where the hell is Gibby?
I have no idea. I can drive around and see if I can find him. But
put your window down. Drive around, put your window down, yell out the window. Hey, Dan Gibson! Farwell's waiting for you on the show. Jeepers creepers. All right.
No, I totally get Mike. I have to be careful what I say. But
why? Don't be careful. Tell it like it is, pal.
Well, it's just because of the city and my job and all that, right?
I won't tell anybody what you do for a living.
Yeah, I know. But from 7:30 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night, I'm driving around the city quite a lot. And I'm in the areas with a lot of those bike lanes. And, it's I barely see any cyclists out using them. And, yes, I've seen them where there's snow in the bike lanes, but now, the people that ride bikes, want it cleared. Well, it's going to get cleared. And what are we going to do with this machine? It's like, we do get lots of snow, but how often really is this machine going to be used? And now it's with the taxpayers are not too happy, from what I'm reading in some of the Facebook groups I belong to. It's, I don't know. This is a really funny one. But I barely see any cyclists on the road, whether those bike lanes are plowed or not, Mike.
Yeah.
Honest to God.
Gary, I hear you. And listen, I'm not there with a bicycle lane user counter, but this is what we commonly hear when it comes to bike lanes, right? Nobody uses them anyway. And I've long said, honest to goodness gracious, to me, this sort of infrastructure is the nice to have stuff. This is the stuff that you're building when we have all kinds of money in the bank and no other problems to solve. Because honestly, if you want to ride your bike, just ride your bike. It's not, I'm kind of over this whole war on cars or war between cars and bikes. I'm sorry, I can't subscribe to the narrative. And the story about this particular change of heart at Guelph Council says, responding to public outcry, Mayor Cam Guthrie has reversed course and ordered the city's bike lanes to be plowed this winter. Well, what that means is responding to the well-organized and passionate cycling lobby, which is fine, great. But then what about the public outcry that says, don't raise my taxes by 7%? What about that public outcry? Do we listen to that one? Paul, Farwell's Force member number 211. Good morning.
Mike, I'll try and make this quick.
Okay.
I won't tell you how I know this, but they plow the roads, and those bike lanes are separated by dividers, whatever they may be in different areas. So they can't plow all the way over. So now you're leaving a big run of snow in the bike lane. That can't be plowed, quote unquote. It has to be blown because it's too thick. It's too heavy. So they have to use a blower to get it off. I know that's what they do in other cities and who have to deal with this. Now you've left a ridge of snow where that separation is, and the roads are crowned. They start at the middle and they run off to the curb. So you've cleaned off everything you can, but there's a row of snow and ice down where those roads are separated. Now you have to salt it. The sun's going to come out, and it's going to melt, and it's going to freeze overnight. And because you want your bicycles to be safety, you got to salt it again the next day. And then you're going to come along and complain that there's salt getting into the groundwater.
I love it, Paul. You've gone through every step of the process. And here we are. Magically, they shook the couch cushions at Guelph City Hall and found $650,000. Just like that. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Okay, I don't mean to rattle you on this otherwise calm Wednesday morning, but in case you hadn't noticed, 1 week from today, exactly 1 week from this moment, we will be looking with the greatest anticipation towards that chubby little guy in the red suit coming down the chimney to leave some presents under the tree. We will be at our peak of anticipation 1 week from this moment. 1 week and 12 hours from this moment, you'll probably be putting out some milk and cookies. If you're anything like me, you'll be watching the 1951 black and white Alastair Sims starring version of A Christmas Carol because it'll be Christmas Eve. So now that we're into this time of the year, we like to take a look back, and we have invited onto our show local and provincial leaders to reflect with us on the year that's been and what's coming up in the year ahead. We begin this series of conversations with Waterloo Mayor Dorothy McCabe, who joins us this morning. And if you've been following the news lately, along with the budget deliberations and that 6+% tax increase in Waterloo, there is some concern raised around how we manage and maintain existing infrastructure, because it seems to be decaying at a rate faster than we can pay for it. So, Mayor McCabe, let's start there, and the challenges as a municipality that you have around maintaining aging infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, and thanks very much, Mike, and, happy holidays to all your listeners. It's always good to connect. I mean, infrastructure is a perennial challenge for municipalities, and we own 60% collectively of all the entire public infrastructure across Canada. So it's an immense amount of infrastructure. The city of Waterloo alone has just shy of $5 billion worth of infrastructure, and a lot of that's in our water, wastewater. But so continuing to find the money to maintain it is always a challenge. I mean, we've put more money in the past 3 years. We invest continually in this, and Waterloo has what we call a Waterloo decision support system that we use to analyze our infrastructure and determine the order in which it needs to be maintained. So it's an ongoing challenge and an ongoing issue, and one that we always continue to keep our eye on.
I know recently the East Side Library opened as an example, and I know moving forward there's been a lot of talk in recent weeks and months about the new pool that might be part of a new recreation center in the city of Waterloo.
That's a long way off.
I know it's a long way off, and I know we're talking about upper levels of government support. But the reason I bring it up is because these are important amenities for a community. I always say we have to have some nice things or the city becomes a pretty boring place, but it is pushing those, is deferring those an option at all as you focus on the less sexy, if you will, water mains, sewers, etc. in the city?
Yeah. Well, and I would say, previous councils, we've known for quite a few years that we need a new recreation center on the west side of Waterloo. And the need has just increased given our tremendous growth over the past 8 to 10 years. So, I mean, recreation facilities are, pretty basic core infrastructure that municipalities are responsible for and that residents expect from us. So I would say that that building for that already has been delayed, over the years because we're continuing to pay for our RIM Park. And so that has put a lot of other things that the City of Waterloo has wanted to do. It has deferred those things. So the West Side Recreation facility is something that we do have in our capital plan. The pool piece is not something that was originally considered. So what I had asked for staff to do is when you do come forward with the recreation plan, consider what a pool would add to it in terms of cost and need and opportunities and things like that. So that is probably, the rec center is probably 2 to 3 years still away, and then it's still a big if with the pool as a potential addition to it.
You are coming into your final year of your first term as mayor in Waterloo, but you are no stranger to politics, having worked on the staff side previously. But I wonder your perspective, Mayor McCabe, and connected to this talk about infrastructure, amenities, etc., but your perspective as a municipal mayor when it comes to the funding arrangement that exists with our provincial government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can tell you from a staff perspective to now as a mayor, and have to say it's been the honor of my life to serve as mayor of the City of Waterloo and as a Waterloo Regional Councillor. I'm really, despite the challenges, I really enjoy the position. There's no question. But yeah, municipalities have been asking and begging the province and the federal government for, I would say, close to 20 years to say we need to have what I would call is an adult conversation to say, let's sit down and really determine, and I'm not saying we need to raise taxes for this. It's like, here's the bucket of money that collectively comes out of everyone's pocket, for federal, provincial, and municipal government needs. Let's really look at it and say, who does what? And then, it's that form follows function. Who is responsible for what? Who does what? And then, allocate those dollars more appropriately, because we get 9 to 10 cents on the dollar and own 60% of the infrastructure. So, and cities are also, this is where economic development happens and where wealth creation happens and where ideas and creativity happen. And so, we what I see is that we are just not really getting our fair shake. We need a new fiscal funding formula in place, and is that going to happen in 2026? No, I'm not hopeful, but you can't be in politics and not have hope in your heart. So.
Tell me that again in 3 terms, Mayor McCabe. When I think back on conversations we've had over the past year, one of the things that stands out to me is when we talk about housing, which may well be the issue of the day. And when we talk about it in Waterloo specifically, there are thousands of approvals, but the starts aren't happening to get those units of housing built. What needs to happen in order to get that housing construction started?
Yeah, pardon me, that's sort of the $64,000 question. And we really are, because of the challenges with housing, that's why the city has taken a major, we've taken on the major initiative of Build Now Waterloo Region. And I'm excited to say that we transferred the land to Build Now Waterloo Region in June of 2025. And, there's all kinds of site planning and technical work happening. And the expectation is they'll break ground in the spring of 2026. So that will be the first of approximately 1,000 housing units that are affordable, attainable, and deeply affordable. So, we are doing that as a council and as staff because we know we need to get more supply into the market and local marketplace. And we know that, we really wanted to keep this in public hands perpetually, right? So we'll be able to. We're not going to lose this housing stock that's going to be built to, getting it flipped to, condos or things of that nature. And we've also, as a city, invested just shy of $2 million into local affordable housing projects that are going to bring about 150 new affordable and deeply affordable housing projects into the marketplace in 2026 or 2027. So, we have a goal of having 30% of any new housing that's built in Waterloo is going to be affordable. So, we've set these targets. We're doing what we can, but, we can't control the construction costs. We can't control the price of steel. We can't control, some of those inputs. We can't, so we really are looking to the private sector and the federal and provincial government to pull some of the levers that they have. Because there's difference between what a house, like a single family or a condo costs versus what people can pay. Like, there's a quantum there that needs to somehow be addressed.
Just shifting a little bit to your role as a regional councillor, because obviously as the mayor, you sit on that regional council and it's connected to development like we're talking about here, and acknowledging that you are not a water expert. You personally are not the hydrogeologist here. However, it is an issue that has been identified recently, and one of the pressures that we're hearing about that might be impacting this water supply is, of course, the growth that we're seeing in the region. How do you feel about where we're at with housing approvals and hopeful construction, and yet the sustainability of our precious resource like water in this region?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I've talked a lot and asked a lot of questions at the regional table about water, and I want to really stress that the water quality is not in question. So for your listeners to know that's the case. And right now, we know there's an issue with some aging infrastructure, but at this point, we're still doing some work to understand what the scope and scale of that is. So I don't want to speculate because we are waiting for staff to report back on, again, what the scope and scale of this infrastructure challenge is. So, I don't want to speculate on that, but we know that whatever it is, we are going to have to address it because, we've got Building Faster Fund housing targets, and we've got Housing Accelerator fund, like federal dollars targets that the municipalities need to meet. But, I was never a big fan of planning being separated from the infrastructure piece, which was what was done through Bill 23, like a provincial decision to take the planning authority. I'm not saying that that's been the direct cause of this, because this probably is an issue that has taken more than a couple of years has developed over more than a couple of years. But I think fundamentally it shows why planning in terms of housing development and planning in terms of the building of infrastructure that goes with that really, I believe, should be. It was coordinated. It probably should be better coordinated.
In conversation this morning with Waterloo Mayor Dorothy McCabe, the first in our series of year-end conversations with local and provincial leaders here on the program. You heard Mayor McCabe talk earlier about the challenges. She loves the job despite the challenges. So we'll get into some of those challenges. And next year is an election year. Will we see the McCabe name on the ballot again? We'll continue our conversation, the year in review with Waterloo Mayor Dorothy McCabe, right here on the Mike Farwell Show this morning. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Waterloo Mayor Dorothy McCabe, our guest on the first in our series of year-end conversations with local and provincial leaders. And Mayor McCabe, I want to go back to something you said earlier when you talked about being the mayor of Waterloo. Serving as the mayor has been the honor of your life, despite the challenges. So let's get into those. What are the challenges that come with being the mayor of a municipality in Ontario today?
Well, we talked a bit about the infrastructure challenges that we face. some of the things that we've seen in the community, around some of the the discrimination and some of the affordability challenges that we know people are facing. I mean, those are real challenges that touch people's lives every day. And I feel for people, and I understand, that every dollar counts. And so that's why, as a city, we've continued to invest. From an arts and culture perspective, we've run over we invest in our neighborhoods and in our arts and culture to provide things that are at no cost primarily, or very low cost for people across the city. And that can be festivals and events and, campfires in the square and movie nights and things, ice skating and things like that. So, we're trying to support residents the best we can where we can with our core services, but with some of these other, activities in their neighborhoods. And we're trying to really build a Waterloo that is welcoming and open for people, regardless of their age, their income, their physical and developmental abilities, and trying to balance all those needs. Where that will continue to be a challenge, but. I'm really grateful for the input that I get from residents, and certainly the work that council puts in, and then of course city staff. They're a very dedicated group of professionals who provide the best advice they can. And it's housing is a challenge. Just responding to the growth pressures is a challenge, but there's lots of opportunities in Waterloo, and I think in Waterloo Region, from an economic development site, as we partner with organizations like the Accelerator Center, and we see the new hospital that the work is being done. When we are going to get shovels in the ground on some affordable housing units, and so as much as there's challenges, there's always opportunities, and I think my job as mayor is to keep my eye on both of those, but really try and see into the future and where the opportunities are, where our community can continue to shine.
This is a time of year that I think many of us personally will reflect on the 12 months past. I don't know if someone in your position, Mayor McCabe, is afforded that luxury, because I feel like you're always in the moment and looking ahead at what the next thing that needs to be done or the next challenge to be overcome. But if you were to try to look back over the past 12 months of 2025, where do you see successes in the city?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's lots of things. Just to go back to the housing piece, we've issued just shy of 1,600 building permits. We planted over 3,700 trees in 41 sites across the city. We've just relaunched our website on December 8th. So we're really did a significant focus over the last 3 years on improving our customer service and our digital services strategy. So check out waterloo.ca. It's a refreshed website, and we are going to be rolling out some new additions to our customer service strategy over in 2026. Of course, we're continuing to do a lot of work with the hospital on the technical planning for the new hospital. That's always a really exciting piece of work. It's a massive piece of work. We've done a lot of investments in our rec facilities like Albert McCormick. We're expanding the library there. We've done some roof replacements and facilities improvements there, and at Moses Springer, and we're going to be doing some work on Rim Park in 2026 and going forward. So there's lots of successes that we've had, and things I think that I'm excited to look forward to for in 2026.
It is a big year ahead. It's a municipal election year, so there will be a lot of attention on our municipalities. Do you set any goals for the year ahead? What do you look forward to?
Well, we really, pardon me, we're really driven and focused by our strategic plan that the city put in place. That's the direction that we're going. So we need to check in and make sure that strategic plan that's in place is still relevant. And I've done that throughout the year with a variety of consultations that we continue to have with residents, but people from different sectors. So, but things that we're looking forward to in 2026 are, again, as I said, like the shovel in the ground for our project with Build Now Waterloo, that 2025 University Avenue. We're on target to have shovels in the ground there. Of course, the election is coming as well, and I'll need to spend some time thinking about that because May 1st, I certainly plan to have my papers submitted. But we'll continue to implement our strategic plan. We'll have to start, thinking about what the new council will look like, and then start to work on refreshing that strategic plan. But there's no shortage of work to do in the city of Waterloo, and I'm excited to just keep, continue to do work on behalf of the residents.
Mayor McCabe, we appreciate the time you give us on the show, not just today, but throughout the year. And I know more conversations will come. So thanks in advance for those. And I hope you have a very restful holiday ahead.
Oh, thanks, Mike, and you too. And I appreciate your focus over the last couple of years, bringing more information about municipal government to your listeners. I think it's really important. It's like an on-air civics lesson. So.
We try, but that is a two-way street. And I've said this often, and I don't know if we're unique here, but I have worked in other communities, and the access that we get to leaders like you does matter. It really does. So thanks for helping to bring that side of it to our listeners as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime. And happy holidays to all your listeners and people in your life, Mike.
Very best to you as well, Mayor McCabe. Thanks again for this.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Waterloo Mayor Dorothy McCabe, the year that was in Waterloo, the year that's coming. Sounds like she'll be running for re-election in 2026. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Every Wednesday morning at this time, we turn our attention to Ottawa. We just had an extensive conversation with one of our local mayors. She said it's like a regular civics education when we have so much coverage of local issues, which is something that we make as part of our mandate here on the station. But the goings-on in Ottawa, while we're not there, we do have friends there. Our friends at the Blacklocks Reporter, the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. Online, blacklocks.ca. I recommend the subscription, maybe a nice Christmas gift for yourself. The managing editor at the Blacklocks Reporter is Tom Korski, who joins us for these weekly conversations. Tom, good morning.
Morning, Mike.
I need to ask about our debt ceiling because I've long been worried about the level of debt we carry, the size of the deficit, the fiscal guardrails that do not seem to exist anymore. We are actually increasing our debt ceiling in this country?
For no apparent reason, which is upsetting the budget office and senators and MPs in the know. A lot of people don't accept that we do have a debt ceiling. It's under the Borrow Authority Act. What does it mean? It means it's the cap that Cabinet can borrow to without having to go back to Parliament and explain themselves. And this Cabinet has increased the debt ceiling by over $1 trillion in 5 years. That's on the level. And they, in their most recent budget documents, want to increase it again by 20% to over $2.5 trillion, the value of the entire GDP of the entire country for a whole year. And MPs, senators, and the budget office said, wait a minute. Where are you getting that math? Why would you want to increase the debt ceiling to 20%? The value is about $470 billion, almost $500 billion. And they can't get a straight answer from the Department of Finance. There's a lot of questions about this. You are absolutely correct, Mike. There have been many, many people look at the finances, very knowledgeable people, but any taxpayer knows this. And they're just berserk. They haven't balanced a budget in 18 years. And these deficits are just absolutely staggering. They're far in excess of anything outside of pandemic times, going all the way back to Confederation. It's really something.
What does money even mean anymore, Tom?
Exactly. I mean, when you look at this $2.5 trillion debt ceiling that they want to borrow to, that means that the kids are going to be paying the interest on those bonds literally for the rest of their working lives, 40 years from today. Young ratepayers are still going to be paying the interest on those bonds. And something magic happens every 1st of January. We're just coming up. New Year's, it's always an exciting time, especially for the bondholders, because guess what? They're the first in line every year to get their money. And hell or high water, excuse my language, they will get their money before we pay for war widows' pensions or sick children, health, education, or welfare. The bondholders' interest comes first. And that's it for the next 40 years. It's unbelievable.
It is incredible stuff. Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around this one and follow the bouncing ball. And I confess, I haven't done the deep dive that I'm sure you have. But I'm looking at our proposal to extend hate speech laws that would then include the reading of religious texts. I've heard it described as I could be arrested or charged for reading the Bible aloud in Quebec. I don't really know what's going on here, but can you help shed some light?
Happy to. It's bill number C9. It's the swastika ban bill is the shorthand for it. It was prompted by protests, especially in the major cities, Montreal and Toronto, outside synagogues and Jewish kindergartens. And the bill says two things. Number one, you can no longer wave a swastika in public as an expression of hate, and you can no longer obstruct access to a cultural institution, a church, temple, synagogue, as an expression of hate. Included in that bill, while it was stuck in the Justice Committee, the Bloc Québécois proposed an amendment that said we would like to, and they've been on this for 3 years now, we'd like to repeal a section of the criminal code that exempts from prosecution for hate speech any public utterance that is from a religious text. They had a very specific reason for proposing that amendment, Mike. It goes back to an ugly incident 3 years ago in Montreal, in which a local Muslim activist had a megaphone in the street, and they organized a Death to Jews rally. And the Muslim activist, under the guise of reading a Quran prayer, wished death to rain down on Jews. He was quoted, "Oh, destroy the Zionist aggressors, Allah. Destroy the enemies of the people of Gaza. Slay them one by one." Well, Quebec MPs said that's outrageous. They couldn't get a prosecution. They want to remove the exemption. Now, there have been opponents who have looked at this and said, can you go after Bible readings under the guise of using this law that was intended for Muslims? There is some dispute on that, Mike. I personally don't think, I've never heard any Christian leader organize with a megaphone in the street to rain death down on heretics. Never came up in my experience. But this bill is now, as you mentioned, an object of some controversy. Attorney General wants to talk to faith leaders. What's the bottom line? The bill is going nowhere.
And that's probably a good thing.
Well, they have a problem with public disorder, and you imply a relevant point. The criminal code is a big law, and there's a lot of elements and clauses for public disorder. Do we really need new laws to deal with public disorder, or could you just send out the chief of police to do his job?
Thank you, Mr. Korski, as always. Okay, before I let you go, I was traveling last week, so I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this. But while I was away, I guess Michael Maw has gone away too. From the Conservative Party, crossing the floor to the Liberals. One seat now, Tom, shy are the Liberals of a majority. Was this maybe the plan for Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, all along, just to recruit the seats he needed to have a majority?
I don't think it's much of a plan, and they will need at least a couple more to get a working majority, because one still cuts it pretty short. I think what it does mean, Mike, is the likelihood of an election in 2026 is just went up. Because there's, frankly, the Parliament today is just as it was a year ago. They're getting on each other's nerves. Parliament is log jammed. There's complete gridlock. No one's really in charge, and they're spending way too much money. And when this happens, that you can see in 2026, you will reach a point where they say everybody needs to get a new mandate. Whatever happened here, you watch in the cabinet trying to, like mice chewing through a cinder block to try through connivance to get the majority they couldn't get from the voters. Good luck with that.
Good luck with that, indeed. Tom, appreciate these weekly chats. We're taking a little time off for the Christmas holiday. I hope you're getting some, too, because of all that hard work you and your colleagues do at Blacklocks.
A very happy Christmas to you, Mike, and your whole gang. We'll see you in 2026.
Look forward to that, my friend. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Tom Korski, managing editor at Blacklocks Reporter, the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. And you heard it right there. We're going to continue these conversations in 2026. The next couple of weeks are right in the midst of that holiday time. Tom deserves the break. And maybe we do too, because I've heard from several of you, you love and hate this segment at the same time because it gives you really illuminating information about the goings-on in Ottawa, but they tend to frustrate you, those goings-on, from time to time. But that's why Blacklocks does the work that it does, and that's why we bring you Tom Korski on the show every Wednesday morning at 10. It's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is an annual toy drive that has for many, many years now helped to ensure that children in our community have a present to open, a new toy to enjoy when Christmas rolls around. In fact, this is the largest toy drive in southwestern Ontario, and it has collected and distributed more than, are you ready for this? $6 million in gifts and donations to date. It is an incredible effort, and it happens right here in the fine region of Waterloo through our Waterloo Knights of Columbus. The marketing and facilities manager there is my good friend Marty Hickey, who joins the show this morning. Marty, a very good morning and Merry Christmas, sir.
And a good morning to you and yours, and a very, very Merry Christmas to all.
Thank you, my friend. We're talking, of course, about the New Toys for Needy Kids drive. Can you take us back to the roots of all of this, Marty, and how it began?
Well, it began 29 years ago. This is our 29th annual. And with Chuck Warshin and a few of his buddies, they set out to take care of some kids at Christmas time. And I believe the number, Michael, that they put out was around 150 to 175 toys. And it just simply grew from there, and it just got bigger, better, and involved the entire community up to this point. So it's just been an incredible start. It's growing unbelievably so. As the need goes, we go with it. So,
and that's the key here, right? You continue to support and do this on an annual basis because the need, sadly, has not disappeared or dissipated at all.
No, it's even greater this year. And, of course, it's a tired recording I'm doing with this because every year I say the same thing, and this year is proving us even more right than ever. I've never seen a start like we've had this year. We actually ran out of toys in certain age groups, and we actually had to go out and buy toys. Thank God that we had the money to do that through the donations from the good folks in the region. We were able to take care of a full week where we just didn't have toys for 13 through 9. And we do now, thanks to the Stuff a Cruiser program, which we'll discuss, obviously. But, yeah, it was very, very skinny. The need this year, we've got so many more folks coming in that are new to our country. They've heard about us. They know about us. We're referred to from other agencies. And we do take care of the other agencies, but the folks coming in off the street, it's just incredible. They've been lined up, Michael, out to the street to pick up their toys in very inclement weather, but they do it.
I know one of those groups locally is our friends with the Noteworthy Singers, who annually hold a concert of songs of the season, and funds raised there support this New Toys for Needy Kids program. But how can we, as the community more broadly, Marty, get involved in this and help you out?
Well, the beauty of it right now is, as most people are aware, thanks to you and the radio and Rogers and so on, is the fact that we got bins out at the fire stations, the police stations, and this year, to give you a good idea of what's going on, we picked up 15 new sponsors this year that have heard about us through, God only knows, I don't know how they heard about us, word of mouth, whatever, but we picked up new sponsors this year, and they have come to the rescue big time. And the word is getting around. I mean, you said it earlier, we're the largest in southwestern Ontario, but I can tell you from a council standpoint, Knights of Columbus Council, we're the largest in North America that does a toy drive. So we have that recognition, and I guess it goes to what I said earlier, the word of mouth. People know who we are, what we're all about, and why we do what we do.
So is the best way for us to help, Marty, to find one of those bins at a fire station or a police detachment and drop a toy off there? You mentioned Stuff a Cruiser, how we could probably bring something to that?
Well, the Stuff a Cruiser took place this weekend.
This past weekend, right.
I just want to put some accolades out to the people involved. The auxiliary with the Stuff a Cruiser, Mark Kroll, our chief, and our deputy chief, John Wayne Goodman, and Mike Hetherington, who's heading up the auxiliary. They just cleaned house this weekend for us. We received 6,200 toys between Saturday and Sunday through the Stuff a Cruiser program. And it has taken us over the hump. It's now put us in shape to finish the year off strongly.
And you talk about finishing the year off strongly, but from our conversations of late, this is a need that goes even beyond the holiday season. You help to ensure that when there is a child involved in some sort of emergency, that perhaps the emergency responder can bring a toy with them to provide some comfort as well.
And you're right, that takes place all the time. And the other thing we do, too, is at Eid, at that holiday period, for our Muslim friends, we take care of them as well. And what we're going to do going forward is we will be talking to toy manufacturers, to Amazon, to people that have access to toys. We're going to buy more toys and have the warehouse more ready than it's ever been. We have a really good eagle eye on what our requirements are going forward because we have the experience and the history. So, yeah, keep it up, folks. The folks of the Waterloo community area here are just incredible. They're the ones that make it happen because they're the ones that are hearing, they're the ones that are listening, and they're the ones that are doing what we need to have done.
How do you manage through the Knights of Columbus to keep this going year over year?
I can't tell you. I really can't tell you. It's the word of mouth and the people that are involved with it. We talk toy drive all year long. We do. We talk about it here over lunch, whatever, and we just keep talking about it because it's a necessity in the region. Karen Redmond gave us the greatest compliment we've ever had. I remember her telling us one year, maybe a couple of years ago, that we are the glue that holds the community together at Christmas. We couldn't have asked or wrote a better, recommendation, and we appreciate that. But we work on it all year long. We talk about it. We try and define and refine the warehouse, how we stock, how we do. We have C-cans now to take advantage of sales from toy manufacturers. So we're going to be more than ready for our 30th year.
Really glad to hear it. That Stuff a Cruiser campaign, I know, is always a popular one, and I'm glad the community was able to respond in the manner that they did. Marty, thanks for everything you do, and once again, to you and yours, a very Merry Christmas. Best of the holiday season.
And the same to you, sir. God bless. Take care, you big guy.
You too, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Marty Hickey is the Marketing and Facilities Manager with the Waterloo Knights of Columbus. It's the annual New Toys for Needy Kids campaign, and thanks to those 6,200 toys donated just over the course of a weekend with the annual Stuff a Cruiser campaign, they are going to finish strong. But I would encourage you to echo the words of Chair Redmond, the glue that holds our community together at the holiday season. This is an effort that is now 29 years strong. You'll see those donation opportunities or those bins where donations can be made at our fire halls, our police detachments around the region, etc. And this is something that is happening not just at the holiday season, although that's when the need is primarily felt, but even through the year. Because just imagine being that young person who's involved in a collision on our roads and you've got a scrape maybe, but you're feeling okay. That can be a traumatic experience. And when emergency responders show up to help, they can maybe bring a little something with them to help ease a little bit of that discomfort for you, at least the emotional part of it, by bringing a toy. That's one of the other things that New Toys for Needy Kids is able to do on an annual basis and throughout the year. You want more information on the campaign, just visit WaterlooKnightsOfColumbus.com. Speaking of gifts, I am the beneficiary of something that was dropped off this morning from our friends. And I'm going to use friends loosely because I love these folks. I really do. But they're poking the bear a little bit here. They have brought for me, Lessard and Innisfree Hospice, one of my friends there, a nice gift bag. It's nicely appointed with some red tissue in it. But on the front is a picture of Hans Gruber wearing a Santa hat, saying Die Hard is, in fact, a Christmas movie. Now, where are my detonators? And I'm looking inside, and I do believe that what I'm going to find in here is something candy-esque. Oh, boy. Let me just see, what have we got here? This is very nicely done. This is very nicely done. Look at this. A nice 25 years for Lessard House and 10 years for Innisfree. Those are the hospices, and this is a wireless charger. I could absolutely make good use of that. Here I thought it was a cookie, but it's very nicely carved. Wireless charger, celebrating 25 years at Lessard House and 10 years at Innisfree. Lessard and Innisfree, of course, one of the hospices here in our community, helping us at end of life. And while we're on that subject of Die Hard being a Christmas movie or not.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Let us take Hans Gruber and move him further down Nakatomi Tower. We're going down 3 days at a time here to catch up. He's now 9 days down on this 17th of December. I'm doing this every day because the 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50-50 raffle is over $70,000. In fact, it's now over $80,000. Get your tickets right now, FACS5050.com. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Big game coming up on Sunday. Big game coming up on Sunday. No, not for the Kitchener Rangers. I'll quickly remind you, we are in action with the Rangers tonight in Sarnia, 6:30 pregame right here on 570 News Radio. But on Sunday, when we're into the OHL Christmas break, there is going to be a game at Activa Sportsplex when the U16 Rangers are going to take on a team made up of regional police officers, and this is all in support of One Roof Youth Services here in our community. Very pleased to be joined in studio by Sophia Kokeza, who's in merchandising with Home Depot. Sophia, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Christian Warren joins us in studio, the captain of the U16 Kitchener Rangers. Good morning, Christian.
Good morning.
And Reed Denstead, a constable with Waterloo Regional Police. Reed, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Absolute pleasure to have you here. Christian, let me start with you. Let's talk a little bit about the U16 team and how's the season going so far?
It's gone pretty well so far. We got a good second half coming, and we're excited to help a good cause this weekend.
How excited are you to take the ice against a team of regional police officers?
We're really excited, and we're pretty confident that we'll come out with a win.
Wait a minute. You're calling your shot now? You're confident already that you're going to come out with a win?
Yep.
All right, Constable Denstead, let me move it over to you. Sounds pretty confident on the U16 side. How are you feeling as a member of the police team?
I like it. Just as confident. We're looking forward to the stiff competition and some young energy on the ice there.
Why is it important for our Waterloo Regional Police Service to get involved in events like this?
It just shows a dedication to our community and how important those community resources are. Working with One Roof and also the U16 team here, it's important to kind of foster that connection with both the kids and kind of keep things moving forward in a positive manner. So an event like this is great to support on both sides of both on the ice and in the community. And we do what we can to help out there.
I know that there is a police services team, so you're on the ice here and there, and the job itself can be physically demanding, but let's be honest, and listen, I'm not trying to throw any stones here. You're not the oldest guy, you're not like me, but there's a difference between being like U16 and U30 or U35. Like, are you guys ready for this physically?
Oh, we'll find out. Yeah, we like to think we are, but the true test will come on Sunday when we're actually out on the ice and experiencing it firsthand. So we're looking forward to like I said, the youth and the speed and the skill, and a lot of guys on our team are looking forward to that as well.
Sophia, when you and I last saw one another, it was at the draft night for Hockey Helps the Homeless. Home Depot's right there involved in that, and here you are again participating in helping to raise funds for One Roof Youth Services. Why does Home Depot get behind initiatives like this?
As a Home Depot Canada Foundation, we're pledging $125 million by 2030 to help provide the support, the tools and resources necessary to help youth surviving through and at risk of youth homelessness. It's important for us as part of a community to help our community events and be part of them, and to be part of One Roof Youth Services and give everything that we raise through events, through our charity partners at work with our Orange Door campaign, which is currently occurring in both our stores right now and goes till the 21st as well too. And all those proceeds go to One Roof and the services that they provide for the homeless youth in our community.
What will Home Depot's role be on Sunday? How are you participating in this particular event?
Yeah, we'll be there to have fun with everybody else. We're not going to pick sides. We're going to be Switzerland. We're going to be neutral. We'll cheer both of them. We'll cheer both of them on. We're going to be there to help support. We'll be there to greet the families and our community members that'll be coming in to donate for programs. We'll be there to help with silent auctions. Our vendors have reached out to us and given us some wonderful prizes and silent auction items. We've hit local businesses throughout the city as well, too, so that they've donated for this wonderful cause as well. And we'll be there to guide our community members through those, to thank them for joining us and just to have fun. For a great night. There's a lot of kids that attend. The little Timbits will be doing the games in between the breaks. They'll be there to do the chuck-a-puck and pick up all the pucks after with the big Home Depot buckets, which are usually larger than they are. So it's great fun, and we'll be there to support both the KW Hockey Association and the WRPS in helping us to support One Roof.
Christian, you and I were talking off the air that there's a big holiday tournament coming up that you guys will be participating in. What's the bigger event? That tournament over the holidays or this game on Sunday night?
Well, you never know, but if we get a big win against the Police, it might be bigger.
That's true. If you build some momentum, get some increased confidence, because you're already confident about Sunday.
Yep.
All right. Reed, any chance that instead of penalties at the game, some young players that might hook, hold, trip, or otherwise will get arrested? Like, can we put them in a cruiser instead of the penalty box?
There's a chance, yeah.
Is it right?
Well, it depends on the severity, but we'll do what we can to keep it clean and fun for everybody there.
Absolutely. Christian, what do we need to know about Sunday night? What time do we start? I think it's $2 to get in?
Yeah, it's $2.
All right.
It starts at 4 o'clock, I think, right?
5 doors will open at 5.
Doors at
5. Game will start at 6.
Okay.
6.
And then the chuck-a-puck donations and anything like that can happen throughout the time up until about 7 or so.
Okay. We're looking forward to it Sunday at Activa. Doors at 5, game at 6. And Christian and the U16 team say they are exceedingly confident about beating the Police. Are you sure you wanted, shouldn't you just throw the game? Because you might get out of a traffic ticket someday.
No. We're going to
win. Reed, to you and all of the members, thanks for participating in this and being supporters of community initiatives. Christian, to you and the team, good luck at the tournament over the holidays. And good luck on Sunday. Like, I've seen these guys, they can still wheel for older guys, okay? So we'll see how that goes. And Sophia, to you and the folks at Home Depot, appreciate the support of our community, One Roof Youth Services, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I want you to imagine this for just a moment, because when I read this, I did a bit of a double take. But just imagine looking at a billboard and then thinking about the fact that that billboard may be looking back at you. It made me do a double take. And then when I was finished with my double take, I thought, well, actually, of course, this just makes sense, right? In the world that we are in today, we are being watched all the time. But it did also make me think of those vending machines. Do you remember the controversy around those vending machines at the University of Waterloo, where somebody realized accidentally that they were using facial recognition on the vending machines? You want to buy a Snickers bar? And there was some facial recognition happening. Those vending machines have now been removed, but this is our life. You look at the billboard, and the billboard looks at you. I think we can thank Technologists for Democracy for drawing our attention to this. This group is formed recently to advocate for the responsible use of emerging technology. And an organizer with Technologists for Democracy is Councillor Heen, who joins us on the show this morning. Councillor, good morning.
Morning, Mike. How are you?
Well, I'm okay, but I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit unnerved by this. So I've kind of explained it in a high-level way. I'm sure you can give me more detail about the billboard that I look at that is looking back at me. What's happening here?
Yeah, so what's happening is Cineplex Digital Media is the company that's responsible for these billboards at Union Station here in Toronto. And they provide these billboards and also equip them with cameras, which they claim to be doing facial detection with of anyone walking nearby to count the number of people that are walking nearby, as well as gather statistics about ages and genders. So really what they're doing with these billboards is spying on people as we're just, walking by, taking the bus.
I suspect that the company would defend this practice by saying that this kind of market research allows them to put the ideal billboard in a given spot because of the demographic that they're reaching. What would your response be to that, though? Like, why does this concern you the way it does?
I mean, this is concerning because, well, for one, you don't expect a billboard to be spying on you. If anything, this is, I don't know if you've watched Black Mirror, but this is sort of that of technology taken to the extreme. People have a reasonable right to privacy and a reasonable right to not have their faces be, detected by an ad they're walking by. These ads, there's no reasonable reason why you would want to do facial detection just to collect statistics. Really, it's the building owners that, would do estimations of the populations and then, provide that. It is unusual for an ad agency itself to be the one collecting, information about who's walking by, especially in a way that violates privacy like this.
If the information was not in any way being saved or stored, does this make this any more palatable?
Right. So that is their claim, that they're not storing this information, that they delete it milliseconds after it's being processed. However, there was a case back in 2020 where Cadillac Fairview, they own a lot of malls across the country. They were caught using similar technology and also recording images of people using mall kiosks, those things that point you to the right direction or tell you where you need to go. And they were told to stop this data collection, for one, because facial detection requires informed consent, which they were not obtaining. And two, despite claiming to delete the data, it still constitutes collection of personal data, and that is still subject to privacy law here in Canada. And actually, third, they were storing that data when they should not have been, and contrary to what they were claiming.
I remember that Cadillac Fairview story quite well. I mentioned as well at the outset of this the vending machines that were accidentally discovered at one of our local universities here in the region, and those have since been removed. Is there any movement on Cineplex's part that they will remove these billboards?
So there is no indication that they will remove them. So we sent an open letter to Cineplex Digital Media, who, as a side note as well, Cineplex used to be the owner of Cineplex Digital Media. It's a bit confusing, but they were sold recently to an American company called Creative Realities. So now Creative Realities is the owner of Cineplex Digital Media. So we sent them an open letter. A few organizations signed on, and we filled it with a bunch of privacy concerns. Unfortunately, they haven't responded directly to the concerns yet. They have responded to our email saying that they will issue a public statement, but beyond that, there's no indication really of changing their practices.
In the bigger picture here, Kassir, I think I'm thinking about the formation of your group, Technologists for Democracy, advocating for the responsible use of emerging technology. And we talk about it from time to time on this show. And it's my sense that the technology is so far ahead of legislation, I actually worry that we'll be able to rein it back in at any point. But is that really what we're talking about here, that we've got this technology being employed and we really haven't given enough consideration as to how to properly legislate it and put guardrails around it?
Yeah, so privacy law in Canada is wildly out of date. It was written in the year 2000, back when we were still using dial-up and CRTs, right? And so we really need updated privacy law here in Canada. In Quebec, what I like about their approach is actually the Privacy Commissioner of Quebec has taken a stricter approach where any sort of biometric information that is being collected, if a company is doing that, they need to register with the Privacy Commissioner. And they also need to justify it by saying that, for one, the trade-off of privacy is worth the objective of whatever the goal is for collecting that data, and that the goal is legitimate and important. And so if we were to follow Quebec's example here in Ontario, and more widely in Canada, I think that could be, a good step forward for protecting the privacy of Canadians.
How did you learn that these billboards were engaging in this monitoring?
So we found out via a Reddit post. Someone on Reddit posted at the beginning of November, "Oh, did you know that these billboards have little cameras on them, and they have a tiny sign next to it that says they're doing some sort of anonymous video analytics?" And you go to their website, and then they say, "Oh, we're doing facial detection." And so it came as a huge surprise to us. And then there was media coverage as well. And so that's when we decided, let's do something about this. So we've written an open letter, which we've sent out, and we're also planning to organize a privacy town hall here in Toronto in the new year to gather, crowdsource ideas and speak with experts.
What was the inspiration, Kassir, for the formation of Technologists for Democracy initially?
Yeah, so Technologists for Democracy, we started it in June of this year. So it's quite a new organization. And what sparked it was we found out that in Toronto, Magna International, they're an automotive parts manufacturer, they began a self-driving vehicle pilot in Toronto, and as part of that, they wanted to record everyone's faces. So, very similar case. However, the interesting thing was that they were blurring license plates in their data. So they knew that license plates were private, but they didn't consider faces private. And so that was a big issue. And so we spoke up at City Hall, and city councillors in Toronto were very appreciative of us speaking up and began writing a report into the privacy implications of what Magna was doing, and also contacted the privacy commissioners of Ontario and of Canada. And in the meantime, we also contacted Magna directly with our concerns with a letter. And that was a learning experience that informed what we're doing now. And there was back and forth, and they told us they wanted to speak to us only if we visited their facility and only if we signed an NDA. And so there was back and forth on that. And unfortunately, they stopped responding to us, and we were going to start ramping up our actions, our public advocacy. And then we found out all of a sudden, they left the city. And so it was a quiet victory, but we took it. So that was the origin. Yeah.
If not for Technologists for Democracy and the work you did on that front, and now here we are with Cineplex Digital Media, I mean, should Joe and Jane Public be worried about this, Kassir? This kind of monitoring that seems to be happening unbeknownst to us?
It is a concerning practice that seems to be more and more pervasive over time. I was just reading last week how in the UK, there also appear to be these kinds of digital billboards that are also spying on people for whatever reason. And I'll actually be speaking with someone later today about that. And it is a growing concern, but I also want to emphasize that you can do something about it. You can contact your privacy commissioner, the Canadian Privacy Commissioner, if you believe that a company is harvesting your data. You can contact your MP and MPP about tell them that privacy is important and that we need to update our privacy law. And really, the internet is young. Imagine if we stopped regulating cars after they came out. We wouldn't have, traffic lights. We wouldn't have airbags. We wouldn't have seatbelts. There was a huge fight over seatbelts because people were worried it infringed on their freedom to drive, right? And so now we understand it's important to have those things for safety, to protect public safety. And so, we're at the beginning of this fight for privacy and other issues. So really, it's important not to lose hope about these issues.
It's a fascinating story, and I really appreciate your time on the show today, Kassir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mike.
Kassir Heen, organizer with Technologists for Democracy. You're looking at that billboard. That billboard is looking back at you. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Hey, it's a game day, baby, in case you didn't know. Rangers on the road tonight in Sarnia. Harris Law pregame show coverage gets underway at 6:30 this evening from Progressive Auto Sales Arena in Sarnia. This will be 5 games in a row on the road for the Kitchener Rangers. When can we come back to the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium? We're going to come back on Friday night, final game before the Christmas break. And in the spirit of the season, our good friends at Rangers Reach have opened up the holiday bonus raffle in support of Clarky's kids. Craig Campbell is the executive director at Rangers Reach and joins me to talk more about it. Craiger, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
It is so nice to hear a friendly and familiar voice because it feels like we've been gone forever. Five in a row on the road.
Yeah, and more so for you with all the travel and bus hopping. But I kind of feel like I've let you down because normally I would deliver a hot, steaming cup of coffee with our chats to the studio. But as you know, what season it is, and I think we're both run a little off our feet with things going on, and I just couldn't get there today.
That is quite all right. You never let me down, my good friend. Never have you ever let me down. But I do want to make sure we talk about this holiday bonus raffle, because when we get back to the rink on Friday, not only will we be able to participate in the regular game day draw, but also the holiday bonus draw. But take us through the options that we have available to us, and in particular, what it is that we're supporting, Craig.
Yeah, so we opened up our regular game day 50-50. Normally we open them on Thursdays, but we opened it today for some other reasons. So Friday's game, we've got our bonus pricing structure in place. For as little as $10, you can get in on our game day jackpot. And, an interesting thing, as I was looking through statistics, throughout the season, we have not had a game day aside from one Tuesday night, which was really ill-timed, a Tuesday night after Thanksgiving Monday, where we didn't get our jackpot over 10,000. We were close, but we didn't get there. So one game this year where we never got it over 10. And so that's like amazing for our buyers. It's amazing on both ends. Someone's going home with a nice check, and the community is also benefiting from the backside of that. And so by opening early here this week, and the last game before Christmas, and before the players take a break, it's an opportunity for us to, throw a big number up on the board, help somebody with some holiday bills, hopefully, where they can enjoy Christmas just a little bit more.
Yeah,
and we also have that holiday bonus jackpot supporting Clarky's kids that you spoke about as well. And we can certainly talk about the effects that has and where it's at in the stage right now too.
I certainly want to do that because I'm looking at Rangers5050.com right now. I see the prize already approaching $1,300, and then you've got the holiday bonus jackpot, which is approaching $4,700. So with sales opened as of today, Rangers5050.com, we can buy early, we can buy often if we want to. But the Clarky's Kids portion and the bonus jackpot, Craig, what is this all about?
Yeah, so we had a great chat in our collaboration with the hockey club, and Clarky's Kids is one of those programs started here by alumnus David Clarkson, his family, and he are still involved in this program. But with everything that happened in COVID, it kind of took a back seat as everything else tried to get back up to speed. And we really felt in talking with the Rangers that it was a worthwhile cause that we want to get back front and center. It's a pillar of the Rangers organization, and it supports POGO, Pediatric Oncology Group of Ontario, and the Child Cancer Center at Wren, Grand River, or Wren Midtown, I guess they say now. And so we just wanted to have a way to kind of revive that and get some funds into their hands for local care for these children that are seeking cancer treatment.
Walk me through the buying process, because I've done this a couple of times, and I've hit the holiday bonus every time I go through because I want to have that opportunity, and it's really simple, user-friendly when we go to Rangers5050.com.
Yeah, when you get to our website, the 4 price points for our raffle, as I said, starting at $10, those 4 price points are available on the screen. You select one, click Add to Cart, and as soon as you do that, it will bring you to the holiday bonus portion of our page. And if you want to participate in the holiday bonus, there's 3 price point options there for you. And if you choose that you don't want to, it's not mandatory. It's totally optional. You can just click Continue, or you can pick one of those holiday bonus price points, Add to Cart, and it'll bring you right to the end. It'll summarize everything for you in the cart, and you just have to follow the 2 little check boxes and then click Checkout. once you get to the checkout page, you're ready for your payment online, and off you go. We'll send you your confirmation and your ticket with your single number with all your chances for both raffles. You'll have 2 numbers that would arrive if you buy both the bonus and the regular draw.
This holiday bonus jackpot supporting Clarky's kids this year, so that part of it is new, but the bonus jackpot at holiday time itself is not. This is something that you've done before just as an opportunity to further support organizations in our community.
Yeah, last year, we did it for the first time last year in December, and we supported the House of Friendships hamper program. They were, as you remember, last year, they were overwhelmed when they opened their registrations. I think they had to close them almost immediately. So we were able to, with our holiday bonus last year in the month of December, we were able to put about $12,000 over to House of Friendship. And with 3 games left here, we're hoping that we can do something similar for Clarky's kids, Pogo and Ren, to make just a little bit of an impact. As you know, in the fundraising world, every dollar matters to these organizations, and we have a great avenue. We have the hockey club here. The organization itself, the Rangers are very community minded, and obviously Rangers Reach, we're community minded, and so we're just trying to make a difference a little bit at a time.
I'm glad you mentioned those 3 games left. We've got Friday night at home to Owen Sound. Then we take the Christmas break. But this holiday bonus continues through the 28th when we're back from the Christmas break, taking on the Erie Otters, and then finishing off on Friday, January the 2nd at home to Barrie.
Correct. And we've left our bonus pricing with the additional numbers as an incentive. That's going to be in place for all 3 of the remaining draws to the 2nd. And of course, when 2026 arrives, it's no shortage of other things that are happening as well. So another Level of Legacy night is coming on January 9th, and we've got some special things happening that night. We have another initiative that we're going to be kicking off that night with something unbelievably unique and that people are going to want to see. So keep your eyes out for that announcement. Will be coming as well. And we're trying to get through the holiday season here, and as I say, make a difference. It's as you know, things can go by in life pretty fast, and life does fly by at times. And I've been reflecting this week a lot. Rangers Reach, 6 years old at January 1. We're going to have been in operation for 6 years, and it's just flying by. It's been awesome, and can't wait for what's ahead.
That's I can't believe it's been 6 years either, Craiger. Holy cow. All right, you said before on only one occasion this season so far have we had a game day jackpot of less than $10,000. And I love watching that number every time I'm at the odd because I'm always playing and I'm waiting for my ship to come in one of these days. But you also hinted at and reminded us that as much fun as we have, hey, go to a Rangers game, celebrate a Rangers victory, take home $10,000+ in the Rangers Reach 50-50 raffle. But the back end of this is the equivalent amount of funds that are going into our community to help lift various initiatives.
Yeah, and it's been holy. Like, I can't tell you, I honestly just can't describe how fulfilling that portion has been. We're about ready to announce. We did our call for grants in the fall. We had a record number of applications for community impact grants, and we're about to announce our first series of recipients, our first 6 recipients. But our grants committee, we awarded over $118,000 in grants this year. And so those are over and above the commitments we make to organizations like Child Witness Center, Sexual Assault Support Center, Waterloo Region, Kids Ability, those financial commitments that our board and the Rangers have collaborated on. these are individual things over and above that. So we had 17 grant recipients this year for $118,000, and we're excited. We're going to get to roll those out. We're getting checks out to them. I know that, you know, we're coming up at December 31, a lot of year ends for organizations, and when you can call them and let them know that there's much needed funds on the way before year end, those are the things that make my job fulfilling for me.
Can't wait to see you again back at the rink on Friday. It feels like we've been gone for far too long. But thanks for this, Craig, and let's hope we get that number up nice and big in the holiday bonus draw.
Yeah, and enjoy your trip to Sarnia today. Hopefully things stay clear and warm and no precipitation.
All right, Craig, appreciate you, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Take care, Mike.
You too. Bye-bye. Craig Campbell is the executive director at Rangers Reach. The holiday bonus draw is continuing until January the 2nd. We've got 3 more home games where you will be able to participate in the game day 50-50 raffle with the Kitchener Rangers. And then it's an option after you buy your regular game day 50-50 tickets. You will have the option of participating in that holiday bonus raffle. You can decline that option, just move on, or you can participate like I have every time I've gone in to buy my game day ticket. We've got 3 more games starting Friday night. Then the first game back after Christmas is a Sunday at home versus the Erie Otters. And then Friday, January the 2nd, at home versus Barrie. So in each of those next 3 games, you can buy your game day Rangers Reach 50-50 raffle ticket and choose to participate in the holiday bonus, which is supporting Clarky's kids. And I love, and Craig explained it so well, it kind of, when COVID came around, fell onto a bit of a back burner, but David Clarkson, Kitchener Rangers alum, continues, and his family, to support this with the Pediatric Oncology Group of Ontario, or POGO, through our Ren at Midtown Hospital, formerly Grand River, or KW, if you're as old as me, hospital in Kitchener. So that work from a former player here continues even all these years after he's gone. And the holiday bonus raffle this time around is supporting Clarky's kids, which I think is just fantastic. Usually, the online sales for the game open up on Thursday morning, the day before the Friday night game. But 'tis the season and all that. So lucky you gets the chance to play as of this very moment. Ticket sales for this Friday's game versus Owen Sound are already open. Rangers5050.com. You can go there right now. Buy your tickets starting at $10 for 5 chances, going right up to 2,526 chances, or the season 25-26 for $80. How about more than 2,500 chances at winning for $80? Go to Rangers5050.com. And if you play the holiday bonus as well, you will be supporting Clarky's kids. The jackpot in the game day draw already approaching $1,300. The jackpot for the holiday bonus already approaching $4,700. All of this fun for us to think about winning the prize, also supporting various community initiatives. Ticket sales open now. Rangers5050.com. Don't forget, Rangers in Sarnia tonight. So you can listen to the Rangers game and buy a 50-50 raffle ticket for the Rangers for the game on Friday, all from your phone or your computer, however you want to do it, at Rangers5050.com. Pre-game coverage from Sarnia. Rangers and Sting tonight, 6:30, right here on 570 News Radio. We'll take a quick time out, come back with more of the Mike Farwell Show this morning, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. There are some things I need to let you know about, because the more you know, this coming Friday is our final Friday together on the show before the Christmas break. I mean, next Friday would be the 26th. It's Boxing Day. Ain't nobody coming to work on Boxing Day except people in retail, and we'll line up to buy the stuff they're selling. But for our purposes, the final Friday is 2 days hence. And you know what Fridays mean on this show, right? All Request Friday. And since it's our last show together before the Christmas break, I'm sure it comes as precisely zero surprise to you that our theme for All Request Friday this week is going to be Christmas music. Your favorite Christmas songs played for you throughout the show on Friday. All you have to do is make the request. You can drop me an email anytime. I got some bus time later today. I'll be checking my email on the way to Sarnia. The email address is mike@570news.com, or just give us a call. Talk to Jen, who's answering the phones today, and let her know what song you would like to hear, what Christmas song you would like to hear on Friday. I have a feeling, because this is always a popular All Request Day, that we will get so many Christmas song requests that we won't be able to play them all on Friday. But that's okay, because I'm going to be here next Monday and Tuesday too. So we'll just extend those requests right through the shows on the 22nd and the 23rd, and we will be in all of the Christmassy moods, okay? So fill our inbox, fill Jen's ears with your Christmas song requests for All Request Friday, the Christmas song edition this Friday. Again, the email is mike@570news.com. I think you know the phone numbers too. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Something else that we're going to be doing this week, and it's happening tomorrow, a little different than usual. We always open up time on our show every day for you to have your say about the issues of the day. Our daily Talkback Hour from noon until 1. And tomorrow, we're making it a little bit different. This was inspired by you. I got a call a little while back, and I forget the gentleman's name, but he wasn't exactly thrilled with some of the programming. He had some questions about it. And I thought, you know what? We're coming up on the end of the year, and maybe you do have questions about why we do what we do the way we do it. Or maybe you've got concerns or some constructive criticism. You want to give me some feedback. So we're going to treat it like a year-end review. I chose Thursday for it because Fridays are Free Phones Friday, and next week when I'm here, Monday and Tuesday, we're going to be in too Christmassy a mood to be super critical, I think. But tomorrow, from noon until 1, your Talkback Hour is going to be Roast the Host Hour, okay? So you can just come at me with everything you've got and let me know what it is I could be doing better. And I'll take this into my holiday break, and who knows, it might be a newer and better and improved version of the show in 2026. Or maybe it won't. I don't know, but you can tell me what you want. The Roast the Host Hour, noon until 1 tomorrow. I'm going to wear a tin suit to the station just to be on the safe side. But I'm looking forward to that, your opportunity to provide for me a year-end review. All right, we're going to get you an update from the 570 News Center. And then it is Wednesday morning, and on Wednesdays at 11:30, Rob Deutschman joins us for a little political R&D. And I can't wait to hear his explanation of what in HE double hockey sticks happened at that regional council meeting last night. My goodness, I've never seen anything like it. We'll get into the weeds next on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. For how long have you been doing this with me, Rob Deutschman?
Not long enough.
Not long enough to know when you push the button, your microphone comes
I
on.
want the listeners to know how abusive you are to the guests. I mean,
I did call you a knucklehead. I'm not going to lie.
PTSD sitting here.
I got PTSD because you came in here and said you can't say Austin Matthews is the best player in the world. Yes, I can, Rob Deutschman. I can say whatever I want.
What am I wearing today? Okay?
Yes.
All
Well,
right.
then.
And hey, was that the best football game?
I didn't watch it.
Year?
I didn't watch
it. Best quarterback.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. See, you come in hot like this and you expect me to treat you with kindness. You want a hug next time?
In my business, the client is always right. So, I mean, I guess I'm sort of like your client.
Okay, I got you. You're right. You're always right. Rob Deutschman is his name. Political R&D is the game we play every Wednesday morning, 11:30. It could not have been timed any better, Rob, because we need help here. We need help. So I broke it down this morning. I will give the high-level overview again right now.
Yeah.
There is a budget committee meeting.
Right.
Where all of the amendments to the regional budget were discussed, voted on, etc.
Right.
And then you move to the council meeting, which is made up of the same people.
I know. I always thought it was an odd thing because when I was first mayor, I'm like, okay, you have committees and then it's all the same people. But it's like that, the idea of sober second thought. So you move to council. Continue.
Fair. Okay, so at the budget meeting, at the committee meeting, Regional Councillor Sue Foxton, the mayor of North Dumfries, votes in favor to support the police budget.
The capital portion.
budget.
Yeah, because it was split they were operating and capital.
Because the
operating went
capital
through, and then there was an issue about capital because of the communication center.
Exactly. Thank you. So she votes in support of the capital budget and the communication center.
Right.
Fast forward
but I just want to point out though that when you listen to the debate that goes on prior to the vote, okay, Councillor Foxton generally is one of those that will say, guys, I don't know which way I'm going to vote on this. So it's sort of like, it's not an easy discussion because, as Councillor Verban, or I don't know who described it as a Taj Mahal, but
Councillor Verbanovic did.
Okay, so it's a $2,300 per square foot building. And you have developers who sent letters saying, hey, top commercial grade construction is $500 a square foot. So there's those issues going on in addition to the social housing. So there is this debate that's going on, and it's not clear that someone is 100% for sure until they actually vote, right? Because there is that dilemma you're trying to decide. You're weighing the arguments, you're listening to the other councillors, and then you're making your decision. So she voted in favor of the capital budget. But remember, council is supposed to be your second decision or relook at this.
Okay.
Continue.
Well, we'll come back to the council then in a second because since you brought this part up, I want to dive into this a little bit more. First of all, these things should be difficult. They should be debated.
Right.
And I've seen that same argument from the development community saying, listen, $2,300 a square foot versus $500 at the top commercial level.
Right.
Fair point.
But we're not
Absolutely.
getting into that. Like that's you and I are not construction specialists.
Sure.
We're just relating what's been said.
But I would point out that what we're talking about is not something that's going to have a shovel in the ground tomorrow. Much like LRT Phase 2, if we built it today, it's $3.2 billion. But because we're looking out further ahead,
you're suggesting it'll be $2,300 per square foot. In the future?
I'm not saying it will be that much, but it won't be $500 in the future, right?
Right.
So we know that. Okay. So
I'll give you that.
Thank you. Councillor Foxton
Yep.
Votes to support the capital budget and the quote-unquote Taj Mahal Communication Center. In committee, yes.
We don't have to use that term. I'm just, I was pointing out there's a debate about it, okay? We don't have to keep calling it that.
But I don't know that Joe and Jane Public fully grasp, like it's the same people sitting around the same horseshoe in the same room.
Yes, but what I'm pointing out is, yes, because it's the same people, someone might say, well, you should automatically vote the same. But what I'm saying is that these aren't easy decisions. There's a lot of debate going on, and this is in the context of the whole budget. And so early on, there's this debate about whether to go ahead with it or not. There's good arguments back and forth. Some people aren't sure until they actually vote. And then you have the rest of the day to vote on the budget and all the other issues, and you might say, geez, it's worse than I thought, or I don't really think we should go ahead with this, and that's why you have that second vote.
Agreed, and that's perfect. That sets this up perfectly, because we get to that second vote.
Yes.
And Councillor Foxton's vote changed.
Right. She voted against. So what happened was, I want to set it up a little more. Yeah, I want to set it up a little more. So they go through the whole day, and again, it's a long day, and that's a criticism I will express about the length of the time that they took all day to vote on all these things. People get tired near the end of the day. Lots of things can happen. I think it's too long to go from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. when they had another day today set aside for this budget. That's one issue. But anyway, so you go through all these motions. Remember, there are like 32 motions. They were debated. Some of them were very complicated, had required a lot of staff input. And so you're going through this whole day. And now you're at, from 9 a.m. till now you're, let's say 9 p.m. I don't know exactly what the time was when this was happening.
About that time, yeah.
And so now you have a motion at council. So you've been through committee, you voted on all these different things, and now you have this omnibus motion with all the different motions that were approved attached to the budget. So it's like it was 3 pages long. And so then Councillor Verbanovich said, I would like to remove 1A or 1B, like the police capital portion, because that often happens. Councillors can say, look, I don't want to vote on the whole. I'm not going to support the whole thing. I want to vote against that one particular thing, but I'll support the rest. And so they took out the capital portion and they took out the operating portion for police to vote on separately. The rest of it was voted first and was supported. Then it came down to voting the operating and the capital. They voted on the operating passed. Then they came to the capital. The capital portion for the police budget did not pass. That's the one where you said it was
8-7.
8-7.
Against.
8-7 against, yes. And then they were going to go right to the approving bylaw, which then approves the acts of council.
And this is where it gets interesting, because if you're watching that meeting, you see the police budget capital portion fail.
Yes.
They move to the next item, as you said,
which is
the
to approve
approval of
everything.
bylaw.
All
right?
the votes they just had.
And then you hear, you do, Rob, you hear it. And all of a sudden, the chair says, we're going to take a 5-minute recess.
Right.
Which became a 10-minute recess,
yes.
After which, some way, somehow, out of the ether,
yeah, I'm going to talk about that.
Councillor Shantz, the mayor of Woolwich Township, appears virtually.
She appears from the sky like an angel.
She's a member.
Clouds.
She's a member of the Police Services Board.
Yes.
And Councillor Foxton changes her vote.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is. So here's the thing.
Okay.
So I'm sure it often happens that the chair will have a discussion with the clerk. Clerk sits right beside the chair, and the CAO is on the other side. Or the head of whatever department for the committee is to the right of the chair, so that the committee, the commissioner, the chair of the committee, and the clerk are side by each. Okay, and then there's also a script that the chair has that they read for each next section of the meeting. It's all laid out. So what probably happened is, Chair Redmond may have had some discussion with the clerk, and when you run into this situation, when you get a curveball thrown at you, which is the defeat of the capital budget. I knew they were going to call a recess, because it's happened to me in other situations, and particularly around police budget. Police budget is the most contentious part of the budget, and police is probably one of the strongest lobbies that we have in our region on the budget, on regional councillors. But anyway, I knew they would go to a recess because then they're trying to figure out, what do we do in this situation? How do we change this? What do we do?
Why would they want to change it? The vote was the vote.
Right. Obviously, they want to change it because the police lobby is strong. The councillors who are on police on the police board got thrown a curveball from the vote that happened earlier in the day.
How do you think the rest of that, because they usually know how the vote's going to turn out, and they've done this at committee, and all of a sudden those who were, I'll take Councillor Verbanovic as an example. He was the one that described it as a Taj Mahal, wanted a reduced version of it, and all of a sudden we get to the budget vote. It passed at committee, but you get to the final vote and it fails. How do you? I bet you every councillor was shocked.
I've been through that situation when we had to move police budget to audit committee, and I expressed my views, and I had a detailed speech about why I couldn't support it. And I had no idea if anyone else would support me. And lo and behold, it was an 8-8 vote not to move the police budget to audit. Well, we had to stop because no one knew what to do in that situation. So what they were doing during that time was trying to figure out what do we do to address this situation? And it came back with something that I think was incorrect. Okay. I like Tim Brubaker, the clerk. If I was picking a staff around me as a mayor, Tim would be easily a pick for me to be a clerk. But I think on this situation, he made an error. He was relating this back to earlier in the day when Doug Craig, who had voted one way and immediately said he made an error and wanted to vote the other way, they changed the vote. But it was an immediate recognition. In this case, there was no recognition of an error in vote prior to the break.
Oh, there was when Councillor Foxton realized,
Mike,
I just made the vote fail.
Let me finish.
But that's what happened.
I'm giving you the process here. I know you and I agree what happened, but I'm saying there was no immediate recognition of an error in vote. They immediately went to break. So then they came back. What should have happened was a couple of things. One, if Councillor Foxton wanted to change her vote, at that point, there should have been a motion to reconsider. The problem with the motion to reconsider, though, is it requires 2/3 vote to go ahead for waiving the notice. And she was, and it's, I believe it's 2/3 vote for a notice of reconsideration to pass,
which means it would have failed.
Likely would have failed.
Right.
Okay. So that wasn't happening. So that's the first thing. Second thing, as soon as all of this was unfolding, and you heard from Councillor Vrbanovich, you heard from Councillor Craig, you heard from Councillor Leggett,
Salonen.
Yeah, Councillor. I was going to say those three alone were 70 years of municipal experience, expressing their view about something that they've never seen before. When's the last time you heard the term mockery of democracy used? When have you
Twice.
heard Councillor Legault or Leggett say how disgusted she was? And even Councillor Craig, who is on the opposite side and obviously would be happy with the vote going the other way, was upset with what happened because he recognized this was an error. And so what should have happened is someone should have challenged the chair in this situation, because the chair was the one that was making the rulings and going ahead with it. And there should have been a challenge of the chair in this situation. And then they could have figured out, or, you know what, ultimately what should have happened, at 7 o'clock, they should have said, we're done for the day, we'll come back tomorrow and finish this whole thing. And when you're getting this late in the day situation, and to say that this was akin to Councillor Craig changing his vote, the conditions were not the same in this situation. I appreciate, maybe Councillor Foxton had a rethink about it during that period of time, but maybe Chair Redmond should have just deferred to the next day and let everything sort of simmer down and see what would happen. But, because the vote goes the way you don't like it, and to massage it the way they did, I agree with Councillor Verbanovich's assessment.
Darn right.
And the assessment of Councillor Craig. And what was interesting was Councillor Salonen, she picked up on the issue right away. She said, you say you made an error, but that didn't really seem to be the intent. And she picked up on the key issue here.
She said, change. I want to change my vote.
Yeah,
she didn't say I made a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to change.
Councillor Salonen picked up on the key issue here. And if you saw what Councillor Gowing commented on, he raised some question about who approached who about wanting to change the vote.
Exactly, because miraculously after the recess, there we were. Rob Deutschman joins us Wednesday mornings at 11:30 for some political R&D. So how damning and or damaging is this to our regional council? We'll continue the conversation on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. 11:30 on Wednesday mornings. We're joined by Rob Deutschman, leaning on his vast political experience, municipally and otherwise, for some political R&D. And what we're trying to get to the bottom of, well, we know what happened last night at Regional Council, but this is something in my lifetime, Rob, of covering municipal councils I've never seen. You cited earlier Verbanovic, Craig, Liggett combined 70 plus years, and they all expressed their concern with what transpired.
Strong concern.
Very much so.
You don't see that sort of discussion, comments. I've never seen that before.
And I hope the public is aware, their antennae is up on this. I started the show by explaining it this morning and playing some of the audio, but how does council move on from here? How damaging is this to the reputation of our regional council?
That's a tough one, Mike. Issues come and issues go. People hear things, they're offended. A small group might stay offended for a period of time, but after a while, you're there as a council group, you're there as 16 people. You've got some big issues that you have to work on together. One might say at the end of the day, if Councillor Foxton stayed consistent with her earlier vote, as she expressed later that she wanted to do, it would have been a non-issue. Like the capital part would have passed and on you go. It did pass at committee, albeit a close vote. I think it's more if there are more instances of this type of behavior and conduct through the chair, then I think there's going to be fallout and distrust with council. But as I said, This issue surrounds police. Police are, as I said, the strongest lobby group in our community. They have a GR, they have government relations person, they have PR. You see police everywhere, which is a positive because we want police out in the community. But while they're out in the community, they have opportunities to meet with councillors. They press the issues with councillors all the time. They have meetings. I've been through it, Mike. I know it personally on motions that I brought forward where I wanted to, for example, have $5 million cut from the police budget, which would have required, instead of paying for police January 1, you pay April 1. When it looked like I might get that motion passed, it was deferred over a weekend. And there was a full lobby on to certain councillors to make sure they voted differently.
But there couldn't have been a full lobby in 10 minutes last night, Rob. That's the issue here.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, listen, you're asking me. I'm telling you, okay?
No, but you're moving on to something completely different. This is not about the police lobby. I am, but you're distracted. You've moved on to a completely different issue.
You're not letting me finish.
Rob, you're on to this thing about a police lobby and explaining your experience with the police lobby. Yeah. I don't care about that right now. What I care about...
It's connected.
But so who got to Sue Foxton in 10 minutes last night? Where was the police lobby?
No, Mike.
Well, that's the argument you're making.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Okay, can I finish or do you want me to just stop?
Who got to Sue Foxton last night?
Nobody got to Sue Foxton.
Okay, then what happened? Night. That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of.
She changed her mind, okay? And she changed her mind after the fact. The question is, well, how long? The issue about getting to is it's over the months prior to. That the lobby is. That's where the lobby is.
I understand that.
That's what I'm talking about. The lobby is strong. It has a strong presence. And she changed. She changed her mind.
But the lobby has nothing to do with what transpired last night.
Yeah, it has everything to do with it. Everything to do with it.
If the lobby was that strong, then Sue Foxton's vote would have been consistent all day.
Right. And she realized she made a mistake. And she changed it.
So what do you make of the sudden appearance of Councillor Shantz last night?
Again, it's the lobby. Because now they realize, hey, we've got an issue here. So somebody on council, probably Chair Redmond, contacted her to have her come back on. Because at one point she said, "What am I voting on here?" Right?
I know. I watched it.
So they brought her back
bizarre.
because they realized they needed her vote. And I knew there would be a problem because as I watched the end of the finance or of the committee meeting, I saw that her seat was empty. So she had left. So she was gone. I don't know when, at what point in the meeting she left. Probably maybe she had a Christmas party or something.
The Woolwich meeting last night?
Was there a Woolwich meeting last night?
I thought there was.
Okay, maybe there was a Woolwich meeting last night. So that's what she had to go to, right? So when I saw the seat was empty, I thought, okay, well, this could be an issue. And then I saw that Councillor Ivanovic had moved certain items, the police items out, so they could be voted on separately. And lo and behold, the vote went the other way because there was a very tenuous vote earlier in the day. This is, Mike, it's not just a one instance thing. This is over the history of our region. This is the history of our region and what goes on.
But in the history of our region, we've never seen a regional council meeting go like it did last night.
Right, because it was a police budget.
Yeah, I understand the contentious nature of the police
budget.
Right,
and that's the history. That's the history that comes into this. That's why it went like that.
But what happened last night should not have happened.
Right,
the vote is the vote. And you said a challenge of the chair would have made sense. You think the clerk erred in his ruling on this? I would agree and agree. Now I'm wondering, what in HE double hockey sticks do we do about this regional council? Like, do they have the confidence of the public?
It's the lobby, Mike, and you don't want to accept it. I appreciate that. It's the lobby and the strength of the police lobby in this situation because it was a police capital budget issue. That's it. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying what it is, okay? I'm not making it a bad thing. You know I'm not using this platform for other issues. I've told you that in the past. You ask me what the background is about all of this, I'm telling you what it is.
I understand that part. Okay. But if the lobby was so strong, then Councillor Foxton never would have voted differently. And for some reason she did.
And she did, and she realized it was a mistake, and she changed. So she made that change in light of knowing it was going to create this. That's how strong it was.
I'm going to buy Councillor Foxton a new calculator for Christmas so she can know what the vote's going to look like if she changes her vote.
It's tough being there. It's a long day. Lots of things are going on. She was allowed to change her vote, so it's not her fault. The chair allowed it, so it is what it is, right? If the chair had said no, you voted. The only way to change is if the clerk said you have to bring a motion of reconsideration. That would have been the approach. But they allowed her to make her change because she wanted to make her change.
I hope the police lobby's waiting outside for you in the lobby.
Look, I felt the brunt of that lobby. And just recently, too, the chief made comment on my presentation just recently. They are very strong, and they're unforgiving, and they
sounds like you are, too.
No, I've accepted all the votes.
Rob Deutschman joins us every Wednesday morning, 11:30 for Political R&D. Thank you. And nice
Glad
jersey.
to be here.
Nice jersey, by the way. It's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage outside, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
It is your opportunity to do that very thing on this show. Talk back. And I appreciate the electronic feedback from Craig, who says that he thinks that Rob Deutschman's about to slap me. And from Phil, who writes via email to Mike at 570news.com. That was a great moment. Intensity, knowledge, experience, and respect for both you and Rob. Also, legitimate radio news. Enjoy your calming bus ride today. That will be the bus ride I take in a couple of hours with the Kitchener Rangers to get to Sarnia. I didn't mean for it did get intense, didn't it? My only point is this. I fully understand that there is a police lobby, if that's what you want to describe it as, just like we've talked about a cycling lobby and what. Absolutely. There is continual effort. It happens from January 1 to December 31 every year to remind people of the value that police provide in the community, why budgets should be approved, et cetera. It absolutely is something that happens. There's no disputing that. But where I think we got derailed was with what happened at council last night. Because what happened at regional council last night was incredible to me. The fact that a councillor cast a vote that defeated the capital budget of our police services, which would have meant the new communications center, the $173 million communications center, did not move ahead. And then after a recess, she came back and said, I want to change my vote. Like that's the part. So yes, the lobby exists. I don't know necessarily how the lobby would have played into that moment last night, right? Because if the lobby was doing its job, Councillor Foxton never would have voted against anything police-wise. Anyway, the mistake that was made, the attempt to correct the mistake, which was the vote against, changing it to a vote for, but procedurally, what happened there is just, again, I will say, incredible to me. And to this moment, it all stands. Like, I don't know if there is an ombudsperson that can follow up on this, if there can be some sort of investigation in, not criminal, but what happened politically last night is pretty darn offside from where I am sitting this afternoon. And that's not me. Look, I think I've been supportive of the communication center since day one. $173 million. Does it give me pause? You're ding dang right. It gives me pause. And I think the letter that was shared with regional councillors yesterday, asking a couple of important questions, what other considerations were given as to the location of this communication center? We've got vacancy in commercial real estate in the region. Why can't we be housing the communication center there? And why is it $2,300 a square foot to build the communication center when you can build top-end commercial for $500 a square foot? I think these are fair questions. There's no question about those questions. And by the way, the chair of the Police Services Board, Ian McLean, will join us on the show tomorrow morning. But I do feel a little bit of remorse for you thinking that maybe Rob needed... And listen, if Rob wanted to slap me, I would accept it. I understand that in this role, when I'm speaking my mind and I'm speaking from the heart and I'm pretty passionate about an issue, maybe I need to be slapped back into line. And maybe you want to do that verbally as we get into Talkback here. But this, holy Hannah, with what happened at that regional council meeting last night, I am still flabbergasted by it. Never have I ever seen anything like that. Now, let's get to the phones, hear from you as we start Talkback today. And Glenn, you're going to go first. Good afternoon.
So exciting. How are you, Mike?
Oh, I'm very good. Thank you, Glenn. How are you?
Oh, I'm well, thank you. So I was watching a council meeting, which I'm wont to do. I don't know why. And the police chief really went hard after Mr. Deutschman. Really hard. Completely unacceptable. And I was sort of left with the perspective that the police chief had no respect for sitting politicians. Mike, you know what? Let's unban election signs and go after them. You know, that's what needs to happen. They're out of control. They have no respect.
Who's out of control? The police are out of control?
The police board, the politicians, look at our taxes, look at our city. We can do better. I know we can do better. I'm a Canadian boy. I know we can do better. And they keep limiting our rights, and it keeps one disaster after another.
All right.
Know,
listen, Glenn, I understand the frustration. I think we're mixing some metaphors there with the police chief not respecting Councillor Deutschman. I remember that exchange. It was pretty fiery, but Rob, as you can hear, is a pretty fiery guy, and I respect that too. He's got his position. He's sticking to it. He's well-researched. He's well-read. He's well-spoken. All of those things matter when you're trying to articulate a point. I don't see what that's got to do with banning election signs. I know Glenn and I disagree on that completely. I won't say I led the charge in that, but I certainly supported the banning of election signs on public property. Go earn your media. Knock on people's doors and tell them, can I put a sign on your lawn? That's how you get election signs out there. Steve, good afternoon. You're on Talkback.
Good afternoon. Yeah, so I don't know, this whole thing, I'm not really too caught up on the details, but I know enough of it to know how laughable that some of the comments that were made the other day by some of the by the representatives themselves, saying stuff like, you know, they're worried about democracy and this isn't how democracy is, like, because somebody changed their mind. But this is coming from people who just appoint people and don't have by-elections, you know, but that's what they're worried about democracy-wise. Like, give me a break.
Steve, listen, I'm on your side with that one for sure. I have said from the very beginning, I've been consistent on this point. I don't think it's democratic at all to appoint new members to your club when there are vacancies. And I understand sometimes vacancies come for really sad reasons. In the one case of regional council, we had a regional councillor pass away. She was far too young. And that created a vacancy. And that's a very sad thing. But when a vacancy is created, we need to hold a by-election in order to put somebody else in that seat. We don't let the existing members of the council gather around and ask for resumes, basically, and make it a lottery process. Heck, you remember in Guelph, oh my gosh, in Guelph, they actually ended up drawing the winning number out of a hat, or the winning name out of a hat, because there was a tie. So like, okay, candidate A and candidate B, you got the same number of votes. We're going to put your name into a box and we're going to draw out the name. It was the most ridiculous thing. You literally won your seat in a lottery. It's incredulous to me. So I'm with you on that, Steve, when it comes to democracy. So maybe what you're saying is, if they're undemocratic in one way, why should we be surprised that they're undemocratic in another? Fair enough. Was it a mockery of democracy last night? I certainly think it was. Oh, my goodness gracious. And this is an experienced group of councillors. Experienced. Anyway, I'm still almost at a loss for words here. Gary, Farwell's Force, member number 41. Good afternoon.
Mike.
I know. I need some blood pressure meds or something, don't I? I am fired up all day today, Gary. All day.
I'm sorry. I was driving around my last 30 minutes of the shift, and I was like, this is the best exciting talk radio I've heard on this show for a while. I could feel your blood pressure coming through the radio, Mike. But this is why I don't like talking about politics or get into politics. But, you know, you were asking some fair questions. And I do believe if you make a vote, it sticks. You can't come back later on and change it. That's my view on it. I don't know. I don't know how they get away with it, but I understand your frustration. But on a better note, Mike, you know what? Enjoy the bus ride. Enjoy the rest of your day, buddy. And go Rangers, go. And that was a good little segment. Thank you.
All right, Kerry. Well, thank you for that. Listen, I want to be clear about this, too. I like Rob. I like Rob a lot. We talk frequently. There's a reason I invited him to be a part of this show, and I was glad that he accepted so we can have conversations, the likes of which Phil described, right? Intensity, knowledge, experience, and respect from both sides on this. Rob has his. I have mine. And if I can just, can I do this? I'm going to do this. I'm going to just take it on a wee bit of a tangent here. Again, fully understanding that there is a well-orchestrated effort to lobby on behalf of police, the approval of budgets, etc. But I've said this on many occasions before. Like when I wake up in the morning and I hear of an overnight shooting between two vehicles at the corner of Weber and Bridgeport in Waterloo, and I hear of, bullets being shot into a home in Cambridge. Both of those incidents happened in pretty close proximity to him. I think they were like a day or less than 2 days apart, 36 to 48 hours apart. I want police, thank you very much. I want them well equipped. I want them well resourced. Can they prevent stuff like that? No, obviously. But can they begin the work of investigating to ensure that the people who were responsible are brought to justice? Yes. And maybe if we get enough work done here, we can begin the process of preventing things like that from happening in our community, because quite frankly, it disturbs me a little bit that these folks who are willing to engage in gunplay and gunfire are just hanging out at Weber and Bridgeport and Waterloo or in Cambridge outside of home. Like that unnerves me a little bit. And I tried to look this up last night, and then I gave up. At some point, I just got to put the phone down and watch my Maple Leafs. But up until the third period last night, I was starting to dig through this. And I wonder about all of this attention being paid to our police budget, because it's the biggest portion of our regional budget. And I don't know the answer to this question because I gave up looking last night. But what do you suppose if we were to collectively take our fire services and lump them all together into one big budget? Regionally, what would the cost be? And I don't mean to pit one emergency service against another, but I do know that every ding-dang day, there are multiple calls. I believe the numbers are actually upwards of 1,000 calls to police. And I love the work that our firefighters do. I'm pretty damn sure they're not getting 1,000 calls a day. I just wonder what those numbers look like if we were to collectively take them. So now I've said it out loud. I haven't been able to determine those numbers yet, but if you're smarter than I am, and it's likely that you are, drop me an email, mike@570news.com. Tell me, what's the collective spend region-wide on fire services, and why is all of the scrutiny on the service that gets called 1,000 times a day? I'm just curious. I'm just asking a question. Chris, good afternoon. You're on Talkback.
Hey, Mike.
Hi, Chris.
So this counselor now, how did she change her mind? Did she get persuaded somehow, maybe, with a little envelope underneath the chair? I don't know. Well, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. How do you change your mind, like last minute? Mike, it's kind of weird. It's something is wrong here. Have a good day.
Thank you, Chris. Something is wrong here. No, absolutely not the envelope under the chair. But this is the problem with mistakes like this, right? Because it leaves us speculating, doesn't it? My guess is this. What happens often in situations like this where there's a vote on something and you know it's going to pass, right? You know that the police budget's going to pass, for example. So what you do, because there are 16 votes, there were 15 on this particular, so we'll just use 15. There were 15 votes last night. You know it's going to pass. but you're gonna put your stake in the ground and say, I'm going to take a principled stand here. I'm going to oppose this. I'm going to tell people that voted for me, I voted against that budget, even though in your heart of hearts, you know it's going to pass anyway. Right? It happens all the ding-dang time. John Gazzola, bless your heart, was famous for it in Kitchener as he set himself up, positioned himself very well as the fiscal hawk, right? He would vote against everything because he knew that of the other 9 votes on Kitchener City Council, he was going to lose, but he could always say, I voted against, even though the budget would pass. I thinks to myself that Councillor Fox didn't miscalculate it. And she thought that she could make this vote against the capital budget and it would still pass anyway. So she could say, I voted against this Taj Mahal of a communication center, but it passed at council. I think she miscalculated. And all of a sudden, she realized that it failed. And then she's like, what? That's my guess. There was no envelope under the chair. There was no police lobby waiting behind closed doors at regional council when they took their recess. But something happened. And she realized, oh, crap. Now we have to fix this. And I don't like the procedure that allowed it to be changed. But here we are. And again, I support the budget. I support our police service. I support a new communication center. You don't know what you want until you need it. And oh boy, when we're going to need it, that communication center and all of the emergency response that can come from it. But that's not the point. The point is what happened procedurally last night at our experienced regional council. And now what do? We sit here, we go to work today, right? We try to make some money to put some roast beef and mashed potatoes on the table. And our council is just going to go back to work after the Christmas break, I guess, and keep voting on things that they might change. The vote doesn't stand this time. I changed my mind. What if they change their mind the next day next time? I'm having trouble with this one. I really am. Talkback continues on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Talkback is your chance to give us feedback on the issues of the day. I've been a little riled up today, haven't I? I'm going to try to talk less and listen more. Get right back to the phones. Francis, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. I'll have to say ditto on that part, but anyway.
You want me to talk less and listen more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of my. Anyways, I have a 2-part. I listened to my brother Knight of Columbus talk. He's a wonderful speaker. I've been part of the Knights of Columbus for over 45 years. And that is one super family organization. Our kids grew up out at Maryhill when the big Knights of Columbus was out there. And like I say, kudos to him because it's all about family. And my other concern, remember with the Wilmot land where the corn was cut down, how I was so much against it? Well, that land is like the kidney and bladder of Mother Earth. And that's why I was so much against it. So, and with that, I'll say God bless, my buddy.
God bless, my friend. Thank you very much for the call today. I have a feeling when we do roast the host at this time tomorrow, one of the things is going to be, Farwell, would you just shut up once in a while? Grant, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm surprised you're in today. I thought maybe you'd be off to Sarnia because we play the Sting tonight, right?
We're playing the Sting tonight. I'm leaving right after the show. If I'm late for the bus, I'm going to have to drive myself.
Yeah, I like the little Hedrick. You can always tell that it's him when he walks off the ice after the game because he's always very smiling. And I would love to see him. I know this player doesn't play anymore for London. He's moved on, but he's a fellow that had the most penalty minutes last year. I'd just like to see Hedrick clock him and I remember you mentioning some, I think in hockey or good player, I don't know. I bet you would be a good hockey player. I bet you'd be a feisty guy. I'd like to see you clock that player from London.
Thank you, Grant. I appreciate your encouragement and support. Feisty, I am. Strong and tough, I ain't. And if you're going to watch Evan Hedrick smile, you'll have to do it when he's playing for the Erie Otters now, because the Rangers traded Evan Hedrick to Erie for Dylan Edwards, who will make his Kitchener Rangers debut tonight in Sarnia. I got to get you an update from the 570 News Center. But Nick, hang in there with me. You're next on Talkback, and there's a line open for you as we continue on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. The Talkback Hour is your chance to talk back to us about the issues of the day. Open phone lines, giving you the chance to start the conversation. Nick has been waiting patiently. I appreciate that. Nick, you're up. Good afternoon.
Mike, how are you today?
I'm doing all right, thank you. How are you?
I'm about as hot as you are over this council stuff. I got a couple of points, but what are the chances that Mayor Foxton's going to come onto your show in the next couple of days?
In the next couple, you know what? I'm going to work on that, Nick. I bet you she will. We got a statement from the news center, but I'm going to work on that.
Because I think what you said earlier about Mayor Foxton playing politics with the numbers on the vote, I think you nailed it right on the head. I think she was voting in favor out of committee, and then when it came down to it, she thought she had a couple of votes spare and wanted to use it as a talking point. And I think that it's just another example of our elected officials at the regional level playing politics and making these moves that are essentially self-serving. And I think it's ugly. And I think if I were a constituent in North Dumfries, I would be all over the mayor's call sheet to figure out what just happened.
It's a fair question, Nick, because it doesn't make any sense. And procedurally, I think there was a big mistake made last night.
I agree. And I think there's a few issues to look into. Number one, what happened on this particular vote, but why the procedure is allowed to happen that way, where someone votes for something in committee and then has the option to change their vote last minute and then change it again. So, I mean, she's essentially voted three different ways on this particular issue with the comm center. So, I don't know. I hope that you're able to get her on the show in the next little while, and I really hope that you hold her feet to the fire because she's got some explaining to do.
Indeed, Nick, and I appreciate that. We're going to get to work on it right away. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great day. Safe travels to Sarnia.
Thanks very much. Great to hear from you today, and thanks for waiting patiently through that news update to get your turn. And a great point. I mean, we need to have Mayor Foxton on the show to see what we can learn as to the why behind the change of the vote. Nate, Farwell's Force member number 8, is next on Talkback. Good afternoon, Nate.
Good afternoon, Mike. Sorry I haven't called in recently. As you know, my four-legged best friend passed away last month, and I've been very sick for the last, I think it's been 12 days now. Went to my wife's work party, and someone decided to bring a present for everyone. There's been a lot of people from her company that are sick as well.
Oh, there you go.
So that being said, I actually won't be able to call in tomorrow. I was just wondering if I could give you a quick review today.
You want to start my year-end review, roast the host early?
Well, there ain't much to roast, Mike. Come on. You're a very fair broadcaster, journalist. You know, you don't hold any punches sometimes, but you're very fair and open-minded. I really love the Fridays with the themed music. It seems to be going really well. So you definitely get an A on that from me, of course. And you also get an A for inspiring me to delve into politics, my friend.
You want to give me credit for that?
Yeah, you challenged people. You said, if you want to change things, get out there and help make that change and get involved. And I've taken that to heart, and I'm really looking forward to working with Kitchener-Conestoga and hopefully being their next MP.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in that regard, and I'm glad we could inspire you to public service.
Love you, brother.
Thanks, Nate. You enjoy the rest of your week, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy. And get well soon, too. There is definitely something going around. I've heard from lots of people who have been battling something for a goodly length of time. That, by the way, Nate's point about the grade of A for the themed music on Fridays, he's being a little bit tongue-in-cheek there because it was his idea. You see, we always have had, or we have long had, all request Fridays, where you just request your favorite songs. But Nate was on me like, yeah, make it a theme every week. I'm like, dude, how many more things? Like, honestly. And I don't mean to make it sound like such a big deal, because all I do is sit here and talk. But there are honestly so many different things, little elements to the show that I am already responsible for, that trying to come up with an appropriate theme every week seemed rather overwhelming. But I gave it my best shot. And every once in a while you'll say, I don't think that theme landed that well. And that's fair. If we're going to theme it and the theme doesn't really fit, you can absolutely give me some flack for that. But it was Nate's idea to theme it. And here I am, theming away, thanks to Nate. So Nate thought he'd start a little bit early with the year-end review, a.k.a. Roast the Host. That is your Talkback Hour tomorrow. But because Nate wasn't going to be able to call in, he took advantage of the head start. That's fine. I don't play by a whole lot of rules on this show, in case you haven't noticed before. Liam, you are next on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. I don't play by your rules either. I'll listen to any podcast that I want, whether it's the OHL podcast, whether it's SDPN or it's Spitting Chicklets. But I figured I'd call in just because I'm currently listening to your episode as I drive. And I just wanted to say how the thing about hosting sporting events is I find the committee can be corrupted or biased, and that's why sometimes it doesn't always end fair and square. I'm not trying to accuse Guelph of winning unfairly, but I feel like sometimes with these committees, I have to agree with you on what you said with Dan about they are like biased, or I can't remember what the word is, but I just thought I would mention that because I find with like the Olympics and with the FIFA World Cup, the committees are pretty much been taken control by different people, and that's why certain countries, whether they deserve it or not, are always going to win it. While I hope that despite this loss that Kitchener can go on to win the Memorial Cup from building a winning team, but I know that anything with sports hosting, I find committees are biased and can sometimes have a conflict of interest, which is why I feel like this is something I wanted to mention since I've tried to stay neutral since I cover Brantford, Guelph, and Kitchener. But I wanted to let you know. And also, everyone give a listen to the OHL podcast when you get the chance.
All right, Liam, thanks very much for that. The end of that got a little drowned out as I think Liam's phone connection started to fail. He was saying, everyone listen to the OHL podcast if you get a chance. This, to me, was one of the most mind-blowing phone calls I've ever had, because you have to picture me back in the summer of 1995 when I got my first job in radio. And I just had a call during my live show from someone who's listening to my podcast. I would not have known 30 years ago what a podcast was, that anything could exist outside of the live hours that I'm on the radio. But just let that sink in. I'm live during this show, and the person listening to something I posted essentially on the internet as a podcast is listening to me on the internet, then calling my live show because of what he heard on the internet-based podcast. You see what just happened there? Is your mind now blown too? I ask you, friend, is your mind now blown too? Are you not entertained? The bottom line is I'm like City Ding Dang TV. I am everywhere. And I don't know how good a thing that is, but I do the OHL podcast because I love the OHL. I love the OHL. It started out as just a little pet project. It continues as just a little pet project. And if you are so inclined and you want to hear some information about and get some hot takes about there, I engage in shenanigans on the OHL podcast too, then by all means be like Liam. And you can even listen to my podcast and call my live show at the same time. Go ahead and blow my mind, baby. Mary is next on Talkback. Good afternoon. Farwell's Force member number 1.
A force for good, a force for change, a force to be reckoned with.
You nailed it, Mary.
Yes. Do I get a prize?
Yes, you're number 1 in our hearts, Mary.
Okay.
Okay.
I think you're right on this thing with the regional bunch there. I've never heard of such a thing. So does that mean, so I put my vote in for, let's just say I voted for Polyev, and then I hear something, and then I say, hey, I want to change my vote. How would that work?
I don't know that it would, Mary.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I've never, how can you change your vote? But please explain to me.
Well, I mean, I don't. You can say, "Oops, I made a mistake. I'm going to change this right now. I clicked yes when I meant to click no."
No.
But 10 minutes after the fact, I'm not so sure.
No. You were fiery with Deutschman, and now you're calming down. Listen, get fired up. Do we really need this regional bunch? Shouldn't they reflect on the fact that Ford will definitely be listening to this? And remember, he said there will be no more elections of a regional government. Ford will appoint a person.
Yes, he will appoint the chair.
So there will not be any more elections for regional council, and
Correct.
They can whistle Dixie. Well, what do you think, Mike?
I love the phrase "whistlin' Dixie," Mary.
Well,
I will
an
say,
albatross.
I don't disagree with you. I think you're right. But remember, even if the changes happen that Premier Ford is rumored to be thinking about, the mayors will still make up regional council. And Sue Foxton is the mayor of North Dumfries. So if she wins re-election as the mayor of North Dumfries, she will still be on regional council, even if council changes.
Well, I thought that there wasn't going to be any election. We elect the councillors.
We elect the council. You wouldn't have the councillors elected anymore. So the 4 councillors from Kitchener, the 2 councillors from Waterloo, the 2 councillors from Cambridge, down the drain. But the mayors,
pull the plug.
But the mayors would still be there.
Okay. All right. Well, I just couldn't believe my ears, and I think you're right to be fired up, and I'm really fired up. Have a great game tonight.
Thank you, Mary.
Go Rangers, go.
Go Rangers, go. I'll try to be fired up for the game, too. Is it just me? Be honest with me here, okay? I get the sense, because I promise you this. I came to work this morning in a normal, average, everyday kind of mood. Just like the 5 pockets in my overalls. I got 5 pockets in just like everybody else, 5 pockets in my overalls. I was just chill. And then I got here, and you have to understand that I'm getting to a certain age. I have to be in bed at a certain time. So all of this nonsense had transpired just as I was putting head to pillow last night. But I come to work early, before the show, well before the show, so I can appropriately prepare the show and try to bring you the best information and the best show possible. And so I got to work this morning and I discovered this incredible nonsense at regional council. And I got fired up, but here's what I think. And you can tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong, but I think you like it when I'm fired up. I do not do fired up for effect. I promise you that as the day is long. It is not fake fire. I am legitimately passionate about what goes on around here. And when I see stuff like this, hoo-wee, do I get fired up? I think you like it that way. I really do. M in Guelph sends me an email to mike@570news.com. If it looks like a duck and walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it probably is a duck. Unlike a duck, though, this incident smells bad and looks worse. How could that council expect anyone to trust them after that mess? M in Guelph, I agree with you. I don't know how we could be expected to trust the council after what happened. In case you're joining late and haven't connected the dots, Let me play it for you straight up so you can catch up with the rest of the class. This is what happened at Regional Council last night.
Your Worship, I'd like to reconsider my vote and move it back to what I voted before, which is the positive for the police capital forecast.
Councillor Salonen.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I do get and appreciate that we have updated and corrected votes in the past. However, the wording that Councillor Foxton used wasn't that she voted in error. It was that she wanted to change her vote to how she voted at committee. My interpretation of that is that with intent, you voted in the negative at this point in time. So not that I want to be a disturber, but I am challenging that a little bit in terms of what was the intent behind. Did you mean to actually vote opposed, or was it an error that you
my original
made?
Vote this morning, was that this morning?
I'm talking about at council, not at committee.
Yes, and so I was staying with my original vote.
Okay.
Councillor Bavanovic.
Listen, I think this is really calling into question the way the democratic process runs, and I'm just going to be noted on record that this is really making a mockery of democracy. I've been in elected office at the city or regional level in 31 years, and I have never seen something like this in my entire political career. It's making a mockery of democracy.
Councillor Liggett.
I just want to say how disturbed I am by what just happened. It looks like there was a maneuvering of votes in order to get what people wanted. It more than makes a mockery of what the entire day. It puts us all in a bad situation with the public. I'm actually disgusted by what happened. No matter what way I would have voted, I'm really disgusted by this, and I question the reason behind. No, I don't even question anymore. Thank you.
That's Jan Liggett, the mayor of Cambridge and a councillor on Regional Council, after what happened. And what happened was Councillor Foxton, the mayor of North Dumfries, voted against the capital portion of the police services budget, and it failed. It failed. And I for one, was surprised by that. And I will bet you every nickel in my pocket right now, there aren't a lot of them, but I'll bet you every one of them, that the entirety of that council was then surprised. I'm like, wait, what? The capital budget just got shot down. There will be no communication center built, or at least we're sending it back for further review. It failed. And then they move on to the next item on the agenda, and you hear there's some whispering. And then it's like, okay, we're going to take a recess. And after the recess, what you just heard happened. Councillor Foxton came back and said, I want to change my vote. I'm like, wait, what? This is not a thing. But it was a thing, and it was allowed to happen at our regional council last night. And so, yeah, you're ding-dang right. I'm a little fired up about it today, because this is not the way democracy works. We're allowed to change our minds, but a vote is a vote. You bring it back, put it on the floor again, whatever is required, but the vote's the vote. You don't, oh, wait, no. 10 minutes ago what I voted, I'm not voting that anymore. Sorry. That's not how this process works. It's Talkback on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is your Talkback Hour, taking your calls and letting you talk back on the issues of the day. George in Cambridge, 00 George, Farwell's Force member number. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. You've known Sue Foxton now for a little while. I'm going to ask you if you can place yourself within her cranial there, right? What do you think she was thinking? Was this a strategy that just went wrong? Was she trying to tell us something by kind of not sure which way to vote? I didn't get a chance to hear Uncle Rob, what he had to say, but I'm wondering what you think about all this.
Yeah, I appreciate that, George, and I will encourage you to go back to the online archive of the show, which is posted at kitchener.citynews.ca every day, or on the Seeker app. Look up the podcast of the Mike Farwell Show, and you can hear what Uncle Rob Deutschman and I talked about between 11:30 and 12 today, because it got pretty heated and intense, but we both care passionately. What I think happened to Councillor Foxton last night is a miscalculation. I think that she figured there were enough votes in favor of the capital budget for police that even if she voted against, it was still going to pass. And then after she voted against and realized she had miscalculated that number, she thought, oh boy, because she really wanted it to pass. But for whatever reason, she threw the nay vote in there so that she could say she did oppose it, even though she knew it was going to pass. I think it was strategic, but it was a counting error on her part. We're going to try to get Councillor Foxton on the show tomorrow and get to the bottom of this. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9. I invite you to join me then. Kitchener Rangers pregame coverage in Sarnia tonight starts at 6:30. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good, and I love you for it. Bye for now.